Chapter 501 Charge. Some titled battle pet warriors who had arrived from other places to support the Longjiang base city were standing next to Qin Dehuang. They would take orders directly from him. Among those warriors, one was at the peak of the tilted rank. All those titled battle pet warriors were well acquainted with Qin Dehuang and they had no problem listening to his orders. "Is there any sign of beast kings?" Qin Dehuang asked a government agent. There was a device in front of that staff member, which was able to receive real-time data. He answered at once, "Mr. Qin, there's a sign of one beast king. No sign of the other beast kings. I suppose they went to the other sides." One beast king. The titled battle pet warriors sounded nervous. Even one beast king would make them feel worried. But no one was going to leave. Everyone had been aware of what would happen before making the trip. They weren't there for the sake of violence, but to save. Qin Dehuang was just as stressed out. He actually wished he would have two beast kings to deal with. That way, the other sides would have an easier time. He had bought a beast king from Suiping, but had not had the time to test its abilities yet. That being said, it was a beast king nonetheless and it should be of great help. "How is the swamp going?" Qin Dehuang asked. At the moment, some distance beyond the base city's outer wall, many advanced battle pet warriors were working with their battle pets of the stone family to turn the land into swamps, pools filled with mines, and setting up other types of traps. Those traps would hinder and slow down the wild beasts when they came. Ambushing the wild beasts was not the priority. The major intention was to slow down the wild beasts. "Almost done. The lava land is being primed as well," the government staff member answered. That was a relief. Qin Dehuang assigned other people tasks according to their battle pet types. Each person who participated in the battle would receive materials and potions that could replenish their astral powers. All those materials and potions were provided by the 5 major families for free. The 5 major families had invested greatly in this regard. Time moved on. The wild beasts were getting closer. The reports were being updated every 10 minutes at first, the interval later shortened to 5 minutes and then 3 minutes. Eventually, Qin Dehuang and the other titled battle pet warriors were able to feel a slight tremor on the wall. The wild beasts were coming. "They're here," Qin Dehuang said. All the titled battle pet warriors who stood behind him gazed into the distance, looking worried. Boom _ A loud noise came from the distance. "Mr. Qin, the wild beasts are approaching the land mines," the government agent reported. Everyone was nervous. Boom! The explosion generated a loud noise far in the horizon, rumbling. The impact was massive. A cloud of smoke floated over the battlefield. The explosion continued and so did the noise. While they couldn't see clearly, they were able to imagine how the wild beasts were being torn apart into pieces. The landmines had the power to inflict great harm on the wild beasts and slow them down. The explosion lasted for a few minutes. Soon, the government agent reported again, "Mr. Qin, the wild beasts are at the lightning and fire zone." Qin Dehuang picked up a telescope. The high-powered telescope allowed him to see into the distance. While the wild beasts had just stomped over the land mines, the hordes were still massive and dense. It seemed that the wild beasts had not been affected. Based on the agent's report, Qin Dehuang knew that all the landmines had blasted off. That level of explosion could have harmed many wild beasts. The reason had to be that the sheer number of wild beasts was mind-boggling. As such, even if some wild beasts had died, those that continued the stampede were still too many. Qin Dehuang wore a grave look. The wild beasts were assaulted by lava when they arrived at the lightning and fire zone. Some wild beasts of the wind and water family were injured or killed in this zone. On the other hand, the wild beasts of the fire family were like ducks to water. They actually sped up after they came across that zone. But such a zone had to be set up. The landmines could blast many wild beasts to death, but some beasts could be stimulated into mutating by the landmines. That was one of the disadvantages of such a strategy. But there were more strengths than shortcomings. Therefore, such special zones were a must. As they looked at the lightning and fire zone, one of the battle pet warriors said in a low voice, "They're here." They had repeated that phrase several times, but it was true this time. "Have you found anything about the Beast King?" Qin Duhuang asked the government agent. "Mr. Qin, the electromagnetic radiation from the landmines is affecting the signal. We cannot find anything about the Beast King," the government agent answered. Qin Duhuang was startled, but he didn't comment on it. He gazed at the lightning and fire zone. Next to that zone was the swamp. Some of the wild beasts had stepped into the swamp at the moment and some battle pets had been hiding there. The battle pet warriors jumped and pounced on the wild beasts right then. "Prepare the long-range sniper cannons. Blast away the 9th rank beasts," Qin Duhuang ordered. The monitoring system could come back online as the wild beasts entered the swamp. They could start eliminating the 9th rank beasts first, not stopping until the Beast King arrived. Qin Duhuang wasn't that afraid of the wild Beast King, since he had bought a Beast King pet from Suiping. He was merely concerned about the otherworld Heavenly King that no one had heard anything of up until then. If the Heavenly King arrived through that side and breached it, Qin Duhuang would feel ashamed to face the people of the Longjiang base city, Xiejin Shui, and Suiping again. Soon, the 2 long-range sniper cannons had located the 9th rank beasts. The cannons were slowly turned over. The barrels of those cannons were over a dozen meters long. The bullets were able to heavily wound beasts at the peak of the 9th rank. Only beasts with excellent in defense could fend off their strikes. But such beasts were usually not good at charging. They weren't the source of worry for the moment. The lightning and fire zone was leveled. It wasn't as filled with dead wild beasts as expected, since more and more beasts were dashing into the swamp. The other wild beasts stomped over the corpses and charged into the swamp and fought against the battle pets that were hiding there. Many battle pets were skilled at fighting in swamps. Still, with so many wild beasts moving in, more and more battle pets passed away until none stood. The wild beasts bit or tore apart the dead bodies of those battle pets. No battle pet died with a complete corpse. The masters of those battle pets were standing on the outer wall. Watching their battle pets being killed had filled them with sorrow and fury. Still, they had to push down their urge to go down there and avenge their battle pets. Roar! Roar! The loud bellows echoed throughout. The wild beasts unleashed their skills in the swamp. Some turned the swamp into pieces of rock and others froze it. Soon, the wild beasts had forged a path forward. "Kill them!" Qin Duhuang shouted. Boom! Boom! The cannons were fired. 2 beams of glaring light were shot out from the outer wall toward 2 massive beasts at the 9th rank. One of the 2 beasts was pierced through by the beams of light and died on the spot. The other one was heavily wounded. Crying, the beast built up a barrier and stopped moving forward. After sensing the danger, the other 9th rank beasts unleashed skills to protect themselves before they pressed on. Xiejin Shui had finished his other work. He hurried over to the east side when the wild beasts were going past the swamp. He flew up to the outer wall. Xiejin Shui issued many orders based on what he saw. Some low-altitude missiles and thunder cannons were launched immediately, blasting at the beasts on the way. Qin Duhuang was a bit relaxed with Xiejin Shui present, but he had no time to ask about the situation on the other sides. Qin Duhuang said to his men, "It will be our turn when the wild beasts leave the swamp zone." Once the swamp zone was breached, there was another zone filled with boulders and lava, followed by an area with stone spikes. They had to stop the beasts from advancing before they reached the stone spikes, otherwise, the beasts would start attacking the outer wall. Once they reached that step, some wild beasts would have the chance to sneak into the base city. It would be too late for them to go after the wild beasts at that point. Yes. The titled battle pet warriors wore solemn looks. Some of the titled battle pet warriors were elders of the Qin family, about the same age as Qin Duhuang, and some were young, fighting next to their fathers. They were all there, to protect the Longjiang base city, and to protect their children. The cannons blasted the wild beasts away. More than 10 beasts of the 9th rank had fallen. Roar! Right then, they heard a roar that would astound all. That roar was fierce. Next, they saw a wild mammoth-like beast heading their way. The beast was close to 50 meters tall, like a walking mountain. That was to say, the beast was as tall as a 10-story building. Being a strong beast, it left a massive pit with each step. Beast King. The titled battle pet warriors and everyone else guarding the outer wall were shocked and scared by the deafening roar and the huge figure that was getting closer. The Beast King had arrived. That was quite an intimidating Beast King. Even Qin Duhuang had turned pale. Roar! All of a sudden, that mammoth-like Beast King raised its head. It poked its trunk into the ground, it lifted a massive boulder and hurled it forward. With a whooshing sound, that huge boulder traveled in the air, on its way to smash into the outer wall. Many titled battle pet warriors were appalled. Considering the size and the speed of the boulder, it was going to reach them like a meteorite. Quickly, smash the boulder! Xiejin Shui shouted in a hurry. One of the sniper cannons immediately locked onto the boulder and fired with a bang. The boulder was shattered in the air several hundred meters from the outer wall of the base city. The scattered debris poured down like rain, and some splashed onto the outer wall. Some battle pet warriors of the 4th or 5th rank were immediately smashed to death by that scattered debris. Qin Duhuang was worried. The mammoth-like Beast King suddenly sped up and charged toward the outer wall. The Beast King could even overturn the ground. Boom! 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 No, sh*t. It is coming to the wall. Have the cannon ready. Launch! Xiejin Shui sounded anxious. The titled battle pet warriors were filled with fear and anger all at once. The cannons that were able to kill the 9th rank beast were fired at the mammoth-like Beast King. It was an easy target, given its gargantuan size. The noise of explosions and smoke filled the air, but a massive force soon emerged from the dissipating smoke. The ground kept vibrating non-stop. The mammoth-like Beast King dashed out from the smoke, completely unharmed. The thermal weapons were not working. "Sir, let me go." The foreign battle pet warrior at the peak of the titled rank asked for permission. Xiejin Shui looked at him. He was about to agree when Qin Duhuang jumped in. "Let me." With that said, a swirl opened up behind him. Following that, there was a sudden, extremely deep and reckless aura permeating from it, which seemed to come from another distant time and space. A huge figure crawled out. It was the storm scorpion he had just bought from Suiping. "Charge!" Qin Duhuang shouted. The storm scorpion had sensed a threat from a creature of its kind as soon as it came out. The Beast King pet cast its brown eyes on that creature, it flew off from the outer wall upon receiving Qin Duhuang's order and snuck underground. Less than half a minute later, two Beast Kings bumped into each other among the stone spikes. The 100-meter-long storm scorpion dashed out from the ground. While the storm scorpion was smaller than the mammoth in size, it gained the advantage with its surprise attack. The storm scorpion poked into the mammoth's belly with its venomous and sharp claws. A deep cut appeared on the mammoth's belly. Startled by the sudden attack, the mammoth-like Beast King roared in anger. It attempted to stomp on the storm scorpion. Suddenly, the ground under the Beast King's feet bulged, lifting the storm scorpion near its tusks. The storm scorpion was agile, it wiggled and climbed over the mammoth's back. The storm scorpion waved its tail and left a cut on one of the mammoth's legs. Roar! The pain stimulated the mammoth. It stirred up a sandstorm that covered itself and the storm scorpion. "Old Qin!" Xiejin Shui turned to Qin Duhuang in astonishment. Was that storm scorpion a Beast King? Qin Duhuang had a Beast King? "I bought it from Mr. Su," Qin Duhuang answered briefly while he kept his stare on the sandstorm. To his relief, he could only feel anger, not fear, from that storm scorpion. However, to finish the battle as soon as possible, Qin Duhuang did mobilize 1/3 of his astral powers to the storm scorpion. That amount of astral powers might not be able to do much when facing a beast king, but it could offer some help. Mr. Su. Xiejin Shui could not believe it. He knew Su Ping was going to sell battle pets, but he wasn't aware that he had meant beast kings. How shocking! The other titled battle pet warriors standing there were just as astonished. They weren't aware that the raging spirit had a beast king. Of course, those who were members of the Qin family were not surprised. They had already heard about it. While everyone was trying to figure out what would happen to the two beast kings in the sandstorm, two roars were heard, coming from behind the wild beasts. The roars were from two different creatures, but they were equally violent. The roars were like claps of thunder. Even the noises created by the wild beasts were unable to conceal the two roars. Filled with dread, people gazed into the distance. Two figures were dashing over. One of them was a dragon, not an average dragon, but a beast king dragon. It was close to 50 meters tall and covered with cyan and red scales, each of which was half a meter long. The other was flying in the air. It looked like a snake with huge wings. Winged serpent. Cyan fire dragon. Some battle pet warriors shouted their names. They had recognized the two beast kings, which had been recorded by humans a long time before. But it never occurred to anyone that they would appear there on that side. The mammoth had not been taken care of yet, and there were already two more. Three beast kings on that side. Qin Duhuang was ghastly pale. He merely had one beast king pet, the most he could do was to stop one of them. Why were there two more? Were the beasts trying to breach the city from the east side? Qin Duhuang turned to Xiejin Shui. The latter was looking at him as well. Xiejin Shui could tell that the beast king pet was Qin Duhuang's sole ace card. The titled battle pet warriors felt they could barely breathe when the other two beast kings came out. The other people decided to give up all hope. Qin Duhuang wanted to say something but decided not to. He wanted to tell Xiejin Shui to ask Su Ping to give them a hand. However, Qin Duhuang left those words unsaid, since the Heavenly King was still in hiding. He looked at the storm scorpion that was still battling the mammoth. He made up his mind. All titled battle pet warriors of the Qin family, let us distract that winged serpent. The titled battle pet warriors of the Qin family could not believe what they had heard. Distract it? With what? With themselves. Shuhei is willing to take the lead. Guys, let's go. Qin Shuhei shouted, biting his teeth. He took out his blade with determination. He had once charged into a barren area on his own, only carrying that blade. He had killed several beasts of the 9th rank while relying on no battle pets. He had established his name. At the moment, his blood was surging as if he had, once again, returned to that time. No one knew that he had once hunted down those beasts of the 9th rank because they had killed a team of explorers in that barren area. He had hunted down the beasts to avenge the explorers. He avenged them because a girl with a sunshine smile had once helped him find his way. That direction she pointed was the direction he followed to grow. Charge! Qin Shuhei shouted. His handsome face was twisted. He summoned his battle pets and threw himself into the fray. Many of the other titled battle pet warriors of the Qin family watched Qin Shuhei as he grew up. They were inspired by his words and no longer hesitated. The moment they decided to stay, they did so while reading themselves for that final moment. Distracting a beast king? That was a suicidal mission, but someone had to do it. Charge! All the titled battle pet warriors of the great Qin family, let's go! Many aged titled battle pet warriors drew their blades and weapons. They were standing up, tall and strong, and shouted as they charged toward the beast king. They summoned their battle pets. All the pets were able to sense their master's convictions. Crying or bellowing, the battle pets issued battle calls and ran with their masters. Over a dozen titled battle pet warriors from the Qin family charged forth. With dozens of battle pets running alongside them, they dashed toward the winged serpent, like a candle moth flying into the fire. Charge! Charge! Their shouts echoed in the sky. Amid the stares of many more, the titled battle pet warriors dashed away. The current family head of the Qin family, Qin Feiyu, bowed to Qin Dehuang. Qin Feiyu turned around and unleashed his astral powers with determination, summoning his 9 battle pets. He then flew off from the outer wall. He went after the other Qin family elders and flew toward the winged serpent. Come on! The team of titled battle pet warriors and their battle pets from the Qin family caught the attention of both the winged serpent and the cyan flame dragon. Both beast kings charged toward them. The winged serpent traveled faster, given the lack of traps in the air. It reached the Qin family titled battle pet warriors in an instant. Xiejin Shui was tearing up. Fire the cannons! Give them cover! The cannons were turned around and missiles were fired at the winged serpent. Bang! 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 The cannons poured down like rain. However, the missiles exploded in the air before they could reach the winged serpent. A special transparent field in the air had stopped them. Hiss! The winged serpent showed its teeth and hissed. Then it flapped its wings, generating several hurricanes in the air. The hurricanes were growing in size. It was a 9th rank skill, but the hurricanes were even more powerful than usual. The color of the hurricanes had transformed to black from green, with many sharp blades contained within. Those blades could pierce through armor and scales, able to penetrate everything. That was too harsh to watch. Beast King. Beast Kings were able to easily unleash skills that were beyond the 9th rank with a 10-fold impact or more. The several dark hurricanes spun in the air like dragons. Even across the distance, people standing on the outer wall were able to feel that the wind was cutting their faces. Qin Dehuang suddenly said to Xiejin Shui, "Use the cannons to distract the other Beast King. Let us handle the winged serpent." Xiejin Shui was choked up with emotions. "Are you sure?" Qin Dehuang offered no reply. He just gazed at his people. Many Qin family titled battle pet warriors had reached the winged serpent at the moment. Taking the lead was Qin Shuhei and another elder of high standing in the family. That elder was Qin Dehuang's brother. He had failed in the family head selection and had become an elder since then. Right then, that fierce elder was standing on the head of a frost phoenix. "Listen up, take formation." Qin Shuhei slowed down. The other titled battle pet warriors of their family soon assumed their respective positions. Battle God formation and trapping formation. Begin. The Qin's titled battle pet warriors and their battle pets then spread out, trying to encircle the winged serpent. The titled battle pet warriors were connected to their battle pets. They were casting a net over the winged serpent. Is that the battle god formation of the Qin family? I've heard that this formation can even defeat beast kings. That is the true power of the Qin family. The ones standing on the outer wall were staring at the formation in amazement. Hiss! The winged serpent cried. The several dark hurricanes quickly went after the Qin family titled battle pet warriors. The Qin's titled warriors quickly mobilized astral powers and all their battle pets of the water family released their skills. The temperature quickly began to drop. A heavy dense of white mist was forming. The hurricanes sucked the white mist in. However, the white mist seemed to have bleached the hurricanes. The hurricanes gradually slowed down until one of them stopped, becoming a towering stone pillar. Even the sand grains had been frozen. In the meanwhile, the titled battle pet warriors released many chains that were known as chains of stars. The battle pets were pouring part of their energy to the titled battle pet warriors at the moment. The chains of stars followed the formation patterns. Some of the chains locked the winged serpent's wings, some trapped its neck, while others targeted its claws. The winged serpent had been locked up in an instant. That view excited the people standing on the outer wall. The titled battle pet warriors had been able to compete with the Beast King. However, some chains of stars snapped all of a sudden. Dark flames burst out from the back of the winged serpent and the flames burned along the chains of stars. The Qin family elder who was standing the closest to the winged serpent shouted in a fit of terror, "Cut the chains! Switch to the spear formation. The other titled battle pet warriors were also freaked out by the strange flames. Even though the flames were only affecting the chains, the warriors were experiencing a burning sensation. The titled battle pet warriors cut the chains, following the elder's order. They made spears with their astral powers and hurled them at the winged serpent's wings and neck. The winged serpent bellowed, clearly angered. All of a sudden, the winged beast flapped its wings, unleashing many dark blades that were more than a dozen meters long. The blades flew around randomly. Some battle pets, unfortunately, were hurt by the blades. Flames flared out on the battle pets, which gave cries of pain. This is not working. The strength and defense of the winged serpent had startled Qin Shuhei. Those spears should have been able to block the passage of the target's astral powers upon contact. However, the winged serpent was still able to unleash such astral powers, even after receiving a dozen spears. It wasn't affected, at all. The family elder pulled a long face. Stall it. Get it away from here. The other titled battle pet warriors of the Qins immediately changed position and began to fly further away from the base city. Their battle pets began to resort to long-range strike skills as they were leaving, to keep attacking the winged serpent. The winged serpent remained unscathed, even while being hit by so many 9th rank skills. It was immune to all the skills. Still, the winged serpent was indeed lured by them. Hissing in anger, the winged serpent dashed toward them. The flying beast king was fast. Soon, some of the battle pets were caught. The smaller ones were eaten up by the winged serpent in one bite. The battle pets' masters could only stare with tears in their eyes. In the meantime, Xiejin Shui was directing the use of missiles and other thermal powers to distract the other Cyan Flame Dragon to the other side of the battlefield. No one would be able to deal with the joint forces of the two Beast Kings if they were to strike the outer wall together. It would crack open without much effort. Qin Duhuang gazed at the titled battle pet warriors that were fighting the winged serpent, clenching his fists. Eventually, Qin Duhuang tore his eyes away from that area and tried to find his storm scorpion, as it still was battling against the mammoth. The sandstorm had dispersed. The two enormous beasts were tangled together. The mammoth was using many legendary skills, mostly of the stone family. The ground trembled, cracked, and many stone pillars grew out from the ground. The stone pillars quickly reached the storm scorpion, producing a stunning effect. The storm scorpion was most proficient in using the skills of the wind family, while huge, the pet was agile. It was in a deadly lock with the mammoth as they struggled. The two beast kings were inflicting great damage to the surrounding grounds. The other wild beasts were afraid to get close, so they had to go around them. Kill it! Kill it! Qin Duhuang stared at his beast king, clenching his fists. A titled battle pet warrior from the government shouted, "Oh God, no, the wild beasts are coming!" People turned around. The wild beasts had reached the zone with stone pillars, since most of the thermal weapons were being used to lure away the Cyan Flame Dragon. The other zones had been filled up with corpses. The stone pillars and boulders could only slow down the wild beasts a little bit. After the stone pillars, the wild beasts would be free to reach the outer wall. Deathly pale, Xiejin Shui shouted, "Everyone, be prepared for war." The titled battle pet warriors from the government summoned their battle pets. The titled battle pet warriors from other cities began to mobilize their astral powers to get ready. Since the wild beasts had reached the stone pillars, Xiejin Shui was unable to wait any longer. Charge! Roar! Roar! The battle pets roared. The titled battle pet warriors from the government were the first to dash out toward the wild beasts among the stone pillars. The titled battle pet warriors from other base cities followed close behind. Their 9th rank battle pets landed and quickly charged toward the wild beasts. The advanced battle pet warriors called out their battle pets. Some battle pets of the same family were standing together and using the same skills to amplify the effect. Even though some of the battle pets were merely at the 7th or 8th rank, combining efforts they could produce strength able to approach the 9th rank. The wild beasts arrived. The first close-quarter fight between humans and beasts began. Qin Dehuang noticed what was happening. He summoned the rest of his pets without hesitation. Roar! Roar! Several 9th-rank battle pets came out, including dragons, demons, and the fierce fire ape that he had bought from Suiping. Qin Dehuang did not send them over to the Beast King because they weren't nearly as powerful, but they could be of great help in eliminating the wild beasts. The stampede of wild beasts was split up as his battle pets joined. The pets fought and dashed around. The fierce fire ape was the fiercest of all, like a wolf attacking a pack of sheep. It was quickly surrounded by the wild beasts, leaving behind a large number of dead bodies and blood around. Every second, there would be a wild beast that would die under the fierce fire ape's fist. Even some of the 9th-rank wild beasts failed to withstand the strikes from the fierce fire ape. Some of the wild beasts that had just reached the 9th rank were torn apart by the fierce fire ape before they were able to fight back. The fierce fire ape was at the peak of the 9th rank and had a below-average aptitude. A battle pet would usually have to be trained to have such an aptitude. That was to say, the fierce fire ape was even more powerful than the average battle pets at the peak of the 9th rank. An old man standing next to Qin Dehuang summoned his battle pets. "Pal, I'm gonna heat out now." That old man was Qin Dehuang's friend. He had gone there to support the Longjiang base city. He was actually the one who had bought the pet together with Qin Dehuang the other time. "Be careful," Qin Dehuang cautioned his friend. "Haha," the old man laughed and cried to the sky. His back straightened up as he dashed toward the wild beasts. After gaining permission from Xiejin Shui, the other titled battle pet warriors from other base cities were also charging toward the wild beasts. Roar! Right then, there came an angry shout. Qin Dehuang turned over, only to become frightened. The shout was from the winged serpent. The Qin family titled battle pet warriors had forced it to the side. However, the number of Qin family titled battle pet warriors and battle pets had decreased by 1/3. As it shouted, the winged serpent was split into two and dashed into the formation. One of the titled battle pet warriors instantly fell into the mouth of the winged serpent. His astral shield cracked and the sharp fangs penetrated him. The winged serpent hissed. Full of wrath, it dashed around madly. Many 9th-rank battle pets were smashed away or hit by the winged serpent's tail. The battle pets immediately fell where the wild beasts were. The formation was cracked. At the moment, the Qin family titled battle pet warriors hovering around the winged serpent were like puny insects, completely unable to fight back. Qin Dehuang could not believe this. He wanted to send over the storm scorpion to help them, but he turned around, only to see that the storm scorpion was still battling the mammoth. After all, the mammoth was also a beast king as well. The storm scorpion could not break free at the time. Worried, he saw that the fierce fire ape and a dragon were on a killing spree elsewhere. He immediately told those two to help out. The fierce fire ape and the dragon freed themselves from the wild beasts and dashed toward the winged serpent. "Go to hell!" Qin Shuhei shouted, full of indignation. One of the Qin family elders was hit by the dark blades that the winged serpent had hurled out. A beam of sword light came off from Qin Shuhei's sword. He quickly moved about and hacked at one of the sides of the winged serpent's head. Bang! The beam of sword light pressed forward, but soon landed on something hard, making a crisp noise. The recoil from that impact bounced Qin Shuhei away. Shuhei! Whoosh! A man approached from somewhere behind him. It was Qin Feiyu. He hurried to catch Qin Shuhei. The next second, he pushed Qin Shuhei away and tried to escape to the side as well. Still, he was too late. A huge tail came down from above. With a bang, Qin Feiyu's shields cracked almost immediately. Qin Feiyu lifted his arms. However, he instantly turned into a mass of blood. He was killed in an instant. Qin Shuhei, who had been pushed away, stared, his mind was blank. "No," he shouted, overwhelmed with sorrow. The other titled battle pet warriors from the Qin family looked over. They turned pale. Some could not help but shout, "Fiyu!" Qin Fiyu was the family head, but some of the family elders had been looking after him since he was a kid. In the distance, Qin Dehuang had also heard that scream. His heart skipped a beat. What he saw when he looked over would never leave his mind. He saw a mist of blood. That was Qin Fiyu, his son. Qin Dehuang did not know what to think. He stared. Ah! Qin Dehuang suddenly ran into the battlefield, wildly heading toward that winged serpent. He had earned his title, the Raging Spirit, when he was young. He had resigned from a fighting post when he returned to the Longjiang base city, ready to inherit the family business. He had been in command from behind the curtains. After such a long time, he had forgotten what fighting felt like. Later on, he wouldn't easily get involved in any fight. He didn't want to admit it to anyone, but he knew that he had aged, having become less bold. But at that moment, something was bursting out of him. That young and impulsive soul was returning to him. Qin. Xiejin Shui tried to stop Qin Dehuang, who was going crazy, but it was too late. Xiejin Shui was stunned by Qin Dehuang's angry shout. Xiejin Shui darted a glance at the winged serpent. Only 7 or 8 were left. Most of the battle pets had died or were injured. Even the living battle pets were merely hanging by a thread. That was a beast king. Qin, Xiejin Shui swallowed back the words. He clenched fists, bit his teeth and continued to instruct others to fight the wild beasts. In the air, Qin Dehuang was dashing forward. His face was twisted. While his mind was seized with killing intent, he had not lost his mind. Body of Dragon. Dragon strides. Qin Dehuang's astral powers were burning, generating a golden mist. His aged look quickly reversed to a middle-aged man's look. After lying dormant for so many years, his combat instinct was waking up. Sword of King Qin. Qin Dehuang was close to the winged serpent. The energy exuded by the Beast King didn't scare him away. Rather, his heart was pumping and his blood was boiling with excitement. He was crying out blood. Suddenly, an ancient sword appeared in his hand. The handle was dark, but the blade was surrounded by a golden hue. Ah! Qin Dehuang shouted. In an instant, he had approached one of the winged serpents. He wielded his sword. Bang! Blood was spilled. That winged serpent's neck was injured, blood gushed out. The other titled battle pet warriors were stunned speechless. Qin Dehuang was using some of the secret skills that were unique to the Qin family. They had no idea that he had reached such a stunning level. He was reaching the upper limit of their secret skills. Die! 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 Qin Dehuang maneuvered his sword with wild abandon. His astral powers were bursting out. He was angry, more than ever. The Beast King could not intimidate him at all. Boom! All of a sudden, something clicked in his mind. Something broke. In the meantime, he felt a force was calling him from the void. He could see it. He could grab it. Bzzz. Qin Dehuang's consciousness shook as he grabbed onto that line. Boom! Dark clouds were gathering above the remaining winged serpent and thunder clapped. The winged serpent was about to lose its temper from the pain when it darted a look at the sky, terrified. It would never forget that feeling. It was the heavens test. The redness receded from Qin Dehuang's eyes. He looked and he understood. He was making a breakthrough. He had been stuck at the peak of the titled rank for years. Finally, he was breaking through. He was reaching the legendary rank. Qin Dehuang could not believe it. Tears coursed down his cheeks. He wasn't happy at all. Why not? Why not a moment earlier? Then his son wouldn't have died. Pain. Anger. Regret. Qin Dehuang yelled to the sky. The yell echoed in the sky. In the distance, some other titled battle pet warriors were alerted. All of them stood aghast, not daring to move. Chapter 503 More Beast Kings and Reinforcements. After the initial stage of astonishment, the Qin family's titled battle pet warriors were overjoyed. The Qin family was going to have a legendary battle pet warrior. Although many of their people had died, including their former family head Qin Feiyu, seeing Qin Dehuang making a breakthrough still left many people in tears. Finally, the Qin family was going to have a legendary battle pet warrior. Boom! Dark clouds gathered and thunder clapped. It seemed that the winged serpent was remembering something horrible. Hissing, the winged serpent turned around and fled instead of going near Qin Dehuang. Soon after, the winged serpent had fled the dark clouds. Standing underneath the dark clouds were Qin Dehuang and the other Qin family titled battle pet warriors. Qin Dehuang was unhappy as he saw that winged serpent flee. However, he didn't go after it. He could tell that the dark clouds had locked in on him. The unspeaking feeling in his mind was telling him how to go through heaven's test. You need to get out of here. Qin Dehuang shouted to people around him. The Qin family titled battle pet warriors came back to their senses. They all hurried to move away, afraid that their presence would interfere with Qin Dehuang. They had heard about some secrets about heaven's test. Finally, the Qin family was going to have a legendary battle pet warrior. If they became the reason Qin Dehuang failed the test, they would spend the rest of their lives in misery. As the Qin family's titled battle pet warriors left the area, the dark clouds grew faster and faster, soon reaching several thousand meters in diameter. Lightning flashed in the dark clouds. The heavy pressure made Qin Dehuang feel that he was forced to face heaven and earth all in his lonesome. This was heaven's test. He looked into the sky. Roar! A beast shouted in the distance. Qin Dehuang looked around. The storm scorpion was hurrying his way. Behind it, that mammoth behemoth had fallen to the ground, motionless. Did the storm scorpion win? Qin Dehuang was happy to see only a few wounds on the storm scorpion. He didn't know that the beast King Suoping had sold him was so formidable. The storm scorpion had not only stalled the mammoth but actually killed it. Perfect timing! Come and join me! Qin Dehuang shouted. He had no idea if he would survive through the test. He had never prepared for it because he never thought he would have a chance in this lifetime. Boom! The dark clouds were ready. The diameter had grown to about 5,000 meters. A swirl appeared in the middle of the dark clouds. A thick bolt of lightning was ready to strike. Qin Dehuang shouted as he mobilized his astral powers. He borrowed some energy from the storm scorpion via energy synchronization. He once again wielded his sword. With a boom, the lightning bolt cracked, surrounding Qin Dehuang with countless electric sparks. The electricity shocked Qin Dehuang numb. He waved his sword again, seeing that the second bolt of lightning was coming. Boom! Boom! The third bolt of lightning followed closely after the second was done. Roar! The storm scorpion jumped up toward the bolt of lightning. The energy from the storm scorpion turned into a storm that dispersed the lightning. The lightning disappeared, revealing Qin Dehuang. He was on the back of the storm scorpion down on one knee. His hair was a mess and he had to support himself with the sword in his hand. The lightning bolts continued to fall. Sir, the Qin family titled battle pet warriors watched nervously. If Qin Dehuang failed, his chance to become a legendary battle pet warrior would be gone. More and more bolts of lightning were smashing down. Qin Dehuang felt he was about to explode. He was unable to gather more strength. He struggled to look into the sky, only to see more bolts of lightning coming down. Roar! A crimson figure jumped up to the sky. It was the fierce fire ape. It threw itself at the lightning bolt and then was smashed down on the ground. Another bolt of lightning was about to fall. This time, it was the dragon that stepped to block it. Just like the fierce fire ape, the dragon bellowed as it shouldered the bolt of lightning for Qin Dehuang. The titled battle pet warriors that were busy fighting could not help but take a look. Witnessing a person taking heaven's test would later inspire them. Qin Dehuang was emotional after seeing that the dragon and the fierce fire ape were helping him. He summoned all of his strength and shouted at the sky. Boom! The lightning bolt came crashing down on him. Qin Duhuang and the storm scorpion he was standing on welcomed the lightning strike together. The glaring light lit up both sky and ground. As the last lightning bolt fell, Qin Duhuang and the storm scorpion collapsed on the ground. There were several burn marks on the storm scorpion's shell. Even though it was a beast king, heaven's test was too much for it. The dark clouds dispersed. Finally, it was over. Right then, a strand of force poured down from the dark clouds and entered Qin Duhuang before he was able to react. That was a force he had never experienced before. It seeped into all the corners of his body and his astral powers seethed. Qin Duhuang looked at himself. The burns on his skin were healing quickly. In the meantime, the force entering him was vast and majestic. An extraordinary vibe was revealed from him. Legendary rank. Qin Duhuang himself became surprised. Was this the strength of a legendary battle pet warrior? Majestic as the sea, vast, endless. He felt he could even control the void. Stunning! That was what he had been dreaming of. Ah! Qin Duhuang could not help but cry out. He had never been so liberated. He was able to grab all the energy stored in heaven and earth at will. After calming down, the first thing he did was to dart a glance at the winged serpent in the distance. Determined, Qin Duhuang directed the storm scorpion toward the place where the winged serpent was. The wild beast king was less afraid since the test had ended. It charged forth after seeing Qin Duhuang and the storm scorpion approaching. Bang! The storm scorpion generated 2 hurricanes in the air with its claws. At its command, the 2 hurricanes lashed at the winged serpent. Qin Duhuang was full of killing intent. He shared his astral powers with the storm scorpion he was riding. Roar! The storm scorpion grew more powerful than ever. It sped up until it became a blur to smash into the winged serpent. The pet grabbed the winged beast with its claws and yanked it down from the sky. The winged serpent wiggled and wrapped itself around the storm scorpion. As he stood on the outer wall, Xiejin Shui was over the moon after seeing Qin Duhuang succeed. He was even happier to see that Qin Duhuang's battle pet was clearly gaining the upper hand. Relieved, Xiejin Shui commanded others to try their best to stall the Cyan Flame Dragon. The titled battle pet warriors from other base cities were stunned and thrilled to have seen the raging spirit reach the legendary rank today. They tried even harder. As soon as Qin Duhuang finished that winged serpent, he would be able to join them and to finish the Cyan Flame Dragon together. The east side was secure. We have a legendary battle pet warrior. Charge! Guys, let's kill those bastards! The warriors' morals and spirits were rising. They summoned more battle pets and fought with all their might. The wild beasts that had charged into the stone spikes were forced to stop. Countless dead bodies were lying on the ground, including those of wild beasts, humans as well as battle pets. While the wild beasts were suffering from great casualties, a human warrior died every second. Wild beasts and battle pets were nothing different, except that the former was wild and the latter domesticated, having also befriended humans. In that battle, corpses piled together and blood flowed in a stream. Xiejin Shui was even calmer by then. He was able to see in the distance how Qin Duhuang and the storm scorpion had gained complete control over the winged serpent, which was riddled with wounds. Come on, Qin! Xiejin Shui prayed. While everything seemed to have been stabilized, people heard some shouts all of a sudden. Following that, behind the wild beasts, the ground cracked, a gigantic creature emerged from that fissure, one that looked like a centipede. As soon as the huge centipede appeared, it swooped down on 2 titled battle pet warriors, which soon cried out in pain. That was the only thing that could ever come out of their mouths. Their battle pets stopped fighting and stood among the wild beasts, confused. That was the outcome when battle pets lost their bond with their masters. Everyone on the battlefield was scared and pale. Xiejin Shui could hardly believe that. Beast Kings again? There were 2 of them. Were all 5 Beast Kings attacking the east side? It was unlikely. Were they never able to detect all the beast kings? Xiejin Shui was trembling, in anger and fear. The titled battle pet warriors were stunned into stillness. They were having a hard time as it was, just to stall one cyan flame dragon. How come there were two more? How should they continue? Many people had given up hope. The Qin's titled warriors who had returned to help were in despair. Qin Dehuang had broken through to the legendary rank, but he could not stop so many beast kings. How could all 5 beast kings be there at the same time? They had heard that the north side also had beast kings. Qin Dehuang, who was still fighting that winged serpent, was alerted by the 2 shouts. Startled, he took a look, and what he saw threw him into endless despair. He could not help but shout, "That is not possible!" On the outer wall, after being dazed for a moment, Xiejin Shui came back to his senses. He took out his phone and called his contacts on the other sides. If the other sides didn't have to deal with beast kings, he could mobilize some people to have them help out. "General Lin, how is the north side?" "Sir, we have 3 beast kings here." Clap. The phone was dropped. Xiejin Shui's head was blank. 3 beast kings on the north side? 5 were here. That would make the total number of beast kings 8. He had not even checked with the south and west side yet. Why? Why are there so many beast kings? Xiejin Shui was having a mental breakdown. 8 beast kings and the otherworld heavenly king would easily topple a Class A base city. Why would so many beast kings gather to attack the Longjiang base city? He could not understand. The Longjiang base city was just an ordinary Tier 2 base city. Why were so many beast kings here? Roar! Roar! Xiejin Shui could not take it. As the 2 beast kings joined in, the wild beasts that had slowed down launched another round of vicious attacks. The 2 beast kings cleared up the path like 2 tanks. The titled battle pet warriors and their battle pets at the 9th rank were unable to stop the 2 beasts at all. The volunteering titled warriors from other base cities didn't know each other well, they couldn't have built a formation or cooperated as the Qin family did. They had to face the beast kings alone. Soon, some titled battle pet warriors were slaughtered by the beast kings. The 2 beast kings charged forth. The titled battle pet warriors had to retreat as they fought. There was nothing they could do. In the distance, Qin Dehuang was losing patience. He wanted to go and help, but the winged serpent had not died yet, even though it was overwhelmed. After all, it was a beast king, a creature that would not die so easily. It would take him a long time to finish it. Boom! While everyone was at a loss, the ground began to shake. Even the outer wall was shaking. To their dismay, people saw another massive thing running toward them from inside the base city. The energy readings of that thing told people that it was another beast king. Have the beast kings breached the city? That was what many were thinking. However, the next second, that behemoth jumped up to the sky and a stone column grew under its feet. The beast king flew over the outer wall and joined the battle outside. Mr. Su. Xiejin Shui recognized that beast king. It was Su Ping's ride. The Qin family and the government's titled battle pet warriors recognized the beast king as well. Was Su Ping going to help them? They looked for Su Ping but they didn't see him. Beep. Xiejin Shui's phone was ringing on the ground. He picked it up in a hurry. The call was from Su Ping. "Sir, I heard that there are 3 beast kings in the east. I'm afraid that is too much for you, so I sent over my ride. Has it arrived?" Su Ping sounded worried. Xiejin Shui was brought to tears. It turned out that Su Ping had already sent over his battle pet when 3 beast kings had appeared on the east side. Su Ping's battle pet just didn't get there that quickly. Su Ping probably had not been told that there were 5, not 3 beast kings on the east side. But Xiejin Shui didn't tell him that. He took a deep breath and said, "Mr. Su, thank you. Your battle pet has just arrived. Qin just broke through to the legendary rank. I think we may be able to save the east side." Legendary rank. While he sat in the Pixie Pet Store, Suaping could hardly believe what he had just heard. Qin Dehuang made the breakthrough. What a surprise! Also, if he did, that would mean that he would be able to control a battle pet at the void state. Suaping was overjoyed. He had a beast king at the void state. But he couldn't transport that beast king to the outer wall, so Qin Dehuang would have to go to his store and buy it. But at the moment, Suaping didn't think Qin Dehuang would have any time. He wondered if the wild beasts would stop for a while, that would give Qin Dehuang a chance to go to the store and buy the battle pet. When things stabilize over there and Mr. Qin has time, tell him to come to my store. I will give him another beast king, Suaping said. Xiejin Shui was stunned. Another beast king? Suaping had other beast kings? Even though he was shocked, Xiejin Shui said yes on behalf of Qin Dehuang at once. He hung up the phone. The swamp war crocodile had jumped outside of the wall. It stomped on the wild beasts and charged toward the two beast kings. The three beast kings broke into a big fight. The ground trembled. The wind howled. The sky crackled. The three beast kings were using all sorts of legendary skills against each other. The destruction was happening at such a scale that no other wild beasts dared to get close. The space would be cleared wherever the three beast kings moved to fight. Qin Dehuang was relieved to see the swamp war crocodile. To his amazement, he realized that while fighting against two, the swamp war crocodile was gaining upper hand. Beast kings were not all alike. Qin Dehuang had not been able to tell before that day. But that beast king was vastly more powerful than his storm scorpion. That swamp war crocodile was too awesome. It was Suaping's ride. The titled battle pet warriors from other base cities were frightened by the crocodile, and only then did they realize the beast was on their side. The local battle pet warriors had heard things about the crocodile and they could have a faint idea about the master of the crocodile. Everyone was thinking that the Longjiang base city's demise was just around the corner. However, at this critical time, it turned out that other strong forces were hiding in the base city. Whose battle pet was that? It was clear that it didn't belong to Qin Dehuang, who had just reached the legendary rank. Otherwise, he would have summoned it right away. Could there be another legendary battle pet warrior in the Longjiang base city? Once again, some battle pet warriors who had been thinking about retreating because of the desperate situation were feeling hopeful again. Charge! Charge! Everyone was shouting. The battle pet warriors' morale was rising, thanks to the sight of the swamp war crocodile overwhelming two beast kings. Emboldened by this, all the titled battle pet warriors charged at the wild beasts and began a killing spree. At the store inside the base city, Suaping was sitting in the store with Tang Ruyan, Zhong Lingtong, and a Zhong family elder. Of the three Zhong family elders that had visited the base city, two had gone to help while another stayed behind in the store. To be exact, he was just there for Zhong Lingtong. If and when the Longjiang base city was breached, he would take Zhong Lingtong away with him at once. Sitting with them were some government operatives and some devices. The operatives would inform Suaping as soon as they detected the presence of the otherworld Heavenly King. Suaping was able to learn about the situation outside thanks to them. He ordered the swamp war crocodile to help as soon as three beast kings appeared on the east side. Just after he finished the call with Xiejin Shui, the operatives told him that there were two more beast kings on the east side. 3 at the north and 5 at the east, 2 at the west and 1 at the south. Suaping's face became clouded. The temperature in the store began to freeze. Silence prevailed. The operatives wore grave expressions. The Zhong family elder was so afraid that he was barely able to breathe. Up until that moment, there were 11 beast kings in total. However, the otherworld Heavenly King had yet to make an appearance. The number of beast kings had more than doubled. There were 11 beast kings. Even a top-level base city would have to think about evacuating and relocating its residents in such a situation. A base city would need several legendary battle pet warriors to survive such a disaster. Also, the legendary battle pet warriors would have to be at a senior level, not new ones like Qin De Huang. After all, the new legendary battle pet warriors lacked experience and beast kings as their battle pets. But some senior legendary battle pet warriors would only have beast kings as battle pets. One legendary battle pet warrior was able to sign contracts with 10 pets. A senior legendary battle pet warrior could have 10 beast kings as battle pets, and together they would be able to survive in such a situation. On the east side, we have Qin De Huang, the storm scorpion and the swamp war crocodile. They can count as 3 legendary battle pet warriors. The swamp war crocodile should be able to stabilize things soon. The east side is okay, so Ping took a deep breath. He opened a swirl. The dark dragon hound jumped out. While hesitating, So Ping made up his mind eventually. Go to the north side and help the Ye family. The dark dragon hound understood the order. It woofed, as a way of saying yes. So Ping patted its head and told it to leave right away. He had to. The Ye family would be unable to deal with 3 beast kings alone. The Ye family had 1 beast king, but it was merely at the ocean state, not quite powerful. The best that beast king could do was to stop 1 beast king. The remaining 2 beast kings could cripple the defense of the north side. So Ping didn't send out the Inferno Dragon because he was worried. He was worried that without him there, his battle pets would meet mishaps. He wasn't worried about the Swamp War Crocodile. But the Inferno Dragon had just reached the Beast King level. He was afraid that the Inferno Dragon could be killed by other Beast Kings without him on the site. He was less afraid about the Dark Dragon Hound, which was an expert in running away and in using defensive skills. It might not be able to kill the Beast Kings, but it would protect itself well. Chapter 504 Fight, regardless of death. Tang Ruyan's words reminded Zhong Lingtong. She had learned from the conversation between So Ping and the government agents that he was carrying heavy responsibilities on his shoulders, the Heavenly King being the most frightening of all. So Ping not only had to stop it, he was also sending his battle pets away. Things weren't looking good for him. The Zhong family elder didn't comment on the subject. So Ping didn't reply. He had no other choice but to send the Swamp War Crocodile and the Dark Dragon Hound and lend a hand. The east and north sides were in a state of emergency. He couldn't sit around and do nothing. Otherwise, the Longjiang base city would be doomed even before the Heavenly King arrived. Joanna came out from the pet room and said to So Ping, "I can be of some help if you can lure that Beast King over." So Ping looked at her. He also had the same plan, but he wasn't sure if the Heavenly King would fall for that trap. Tang Ruyan questioned Joanna at once, "Aren't you a legendary battle pet warrior? Why aren't you at the battlefront?" Joanna remained silent. Both Zhong Lingtong and the Zhong family elder were startled by Tang Ruyan's questioning. This girl named Joanna was a legendary battle pet warrior. "System, can you protect Longjiang?" So Ping asked inwardly. In this critical time, he could only count on the omnipotent system. The system answered in a low voice, "I can only protect the store. Is there no other way?" The system replied with silence. There was nothing the system could do. So Ping's mind was weighed down. He saw that the little skeleton was still inside the cocoon, which had shrunk down by a large margin. It was thin enough for So Ping to faintly see the little skeleton inside. He supposed that it would soon wake up. But he wasn't sure. If the wild beasts would have attacked one day later, he could have entered the cultivation site and stayed there for more than 10 days. By then, the little skeleton would have definitely woken up. However, for the moment, he could not go to the cultivation site. He was afraid that the otherworld Heavenly King would show up as soon as he left, flattening the base city to the ground by the time he came out. So Ping felt awfully disappointed. He was still too weak. Things would have been completely different if he were at the legendary rank. While everyone was thinking, they felt a tremble coming from outside. They could tell that the ground was shaking, and not just in the store. What is going on? The Zhong family elder stood up in alarm. So Ping was turning pale. The agents who were monitoring the devices could not believe what they saw. One of them shouted in fear, "Mr. Su, the south was breached." Breached? Su Ping was alarmed. That is, the otherworld Heavenly King. The leader of the agents looked ghastly. It's the otherworld Heavenly King. It's coming. No more sound. It was as if time in the store had stopped. Everyone could sense a chilly sensation running down their spines. The otherworld Heavenly King had arrived. They had prayed for this scenario to happen, but it did arrive. Its intimidating name made it impossible for anyone to catch a breath. Su Ping was panting. The Heavenly King was entering from the south. The Mu family and the Lu family were there, but they had no beast kings. The Heavenly King had chosen the weakest point of entry. Whoosh! Su Ping stood up. He was ready to go. Where are you going? Tang Ruin stopped him. You don't mean to go there, do you? Su Ping gazed at her. He shook off her restraining hand. I'm the only one who can do this. I must go. Tang Ruin stared at him. Tears coursed down her cheeks. Sir, Zhongling Tong also wanted to convince him not to go. Wait for me. Su Ping took one last look at Tang Ruin before he turned around. I will be back. With that said, he stepped out of the store and flew away. People hurried to the door, only to see that he was already far in the distance. The fact that the south wall had been breached was reported to Xiejin Shui at once. Xiejin Shui felt he could barely stand when he learned that the otherworld Heavenly King had appeared, breaching the southern wall. His head was getting dizzy. The otherworld Heavenly King is here. Xiejin Shui was deathly pale. He stared at the battlefield. Countless battle pet warriors were fighting the wild beasts, they were gaining the upper hand on that side. But the cost was blood. However, if the south was breached, the small success that they could attain there would be meaningless. Xiejin Shui dialed Su Ping's number, his hand trembling. Mr. Su, Xiejin Shui found the courage to speak. He had to ask Su Ping. There was no other choice. And I'm on my way to the south. How is the east doing? He heard Su Ping's voice coming from the other side of the phone. Tears burst out from Xiejin Shui's eyes. He took a deep breath before he answered. It is stable here. I will keep it that way even at the cost of my life. Good. I will take care of the south. Su Ping promised. He hung up the phone. While he had made that promise, he wasn't sure that he could deliver, at all. He had said that because he feared that Xiejin Shui would want to mobilize someone from the east to help out in the south. However, that would result in the east being breached as well, no one would be able to save them at that point. The otherworld Heavenly King was, at the south. Could he win? Could he stall it? Su Ping was not sure. He had never questioned himself that much, but there was no one else he could turn to. As a matter of fact, he was the protector of all. Like Xiejin Shui had said. He would also stall the Heavenly King, even at the cost of his life. It wasn't a question about whether he could do it. He had to do it. The south side. The outer wall was towering, but there was a huge hole at the center. The hole was over 100 meters wide. Many cracks had extended on the wall. Many wild beasts had climbed into the base city. Lu Tianzong and Mu Bahai felt utter fear as they stood on top of the outer wall. There was a figure they had never seen, outside, standing among the wild beasts. It was a scarlet beast, akin to a fire lotus with countless tentacles in full bloom on the battlefield at that moment. Each tentacle was nearly 200 meters in diameter. Even the beast kings would look petite, like kitty cats, next to that thing. The otherworld Heavenly King, why would it come here? The two family heads felt hopeless. Like they had never felt before. Roar! Next to the Heavenly King, 3 beast kings stepped forward and bellowed. Just like 3 captains, they led the wild beasts to charge at the outer wall. The warriors standing on the outer wall were desperate. They had lost the will to even try. They just stood on the outer wall, they had forgotten to even move. Ask for help. Send reinforcements. The general that Xiejin Shui had told to stay there to help the two families was shouting into his phone. That was the only way that he could be less scared. But he wasn't getting any reply. Help, we cannot do this. The warriors of the two families, the government, and the volunteers from other base cities were suffering mental breakdowns. They couldn't do anything, other than shout time and again. Roar! A beast king that looked like a tiger was the first to jump onto the outer wall. It breathed out a fire that melted many battle pet warriors' astral shields, as well as the people themselves. They died and vanished without leaving a trace. The others were scared out of their wits. They were already afraid by the prospect of having to fight 9th rank beasts, let alone beast kings. They were in a mess. Run! Run! We cannot do it! Everyone threw their armors and fled in disarray. Lu Tianzong and Mu Bahai, in a fit of panic, began to order their family members to withdraw. As they faced that horrifying existence, the otherworld heavenly king, staying would mean only one thing, death. They had to run. Everyone was running. No one was fighting. But all of a sudden, they heard a person traversing the sky. That sound was becoming louder and louder, and that person was getting bigger and bigger. Eventually, the noise was so loud that it was deafening. Many people looked at the sky in fear, they thought it was a flying beast attacking them. But they saw that it was a human. Reinforcements! Mu Bahai and Lu Tianzong, who were also running away, gazed into the sky. The person who was arriving stunned them both. It's him! He's here! Go to hell! The roar resounded through the clear sky. Sui Ping produced a deafening sonic boom as he flew across the sky. His fist burst out with brilliant light, which was the divine energy he had accumulated in his body. Fist of Exorcist! Boom! Along with the explosive sound, Sui Ping landed and threw a punch at the tiger-like beast king that was climbing the outer wall. That beast king reacted quickly. Feeling the threat, it breathed out a fire that was mixed with bolts of lightning. Bang! The sky and the ground were trembling. That loud noise robbed many people of their hearing, they were only able to see a glaring beam of light. The fire that the Beast King had breathed out was dispersed. Sui Ping was still pressing forward. His punch reached the Beast King. Boom! The entire outer wall shook. Amid a miserable cry, people saw that the Beast King was rolling down the outer wall. That massive Beast King fell to the ground, not being able to move at all for a moment. The battle pet warriors were stunned. One punch to defeat the Beast King? Lu Tianzong and Mu Bahai were just as dumbfounded as anyone else. They were aware that Sui Ping was powerful but not to that extent. That was a Beast King. Sui Ping's figure was revealed as the dust settled. He stood with his back to the others. As young as he was a sturdy wall able to protect everyone. The escaping people stopped. Do we still have hope? Mu Bahai and Lu Tianzong looked at each other. They could see the same trace of hesitation in each other's eyes. Sui Ping wasn't merely facing beast kings, but also a heavenly king. What the otherworld heavenly king could do was beyond imagination. With one punch, the heavenly king had penetrated the outer wall. Beast kings couldn't have done that. Sui Ping had already descended while they were wondering if they should leave or stay. He shouted to everyone, "Listen up! Protect the south! We will not retreat!" The fleeing battle pet warriors stopped right then. The people present looked at that young man with doubt. The heavenly king was there. The beast kings were here. Why would they stay? Mu Bahai and Lu Tianzong were also confused. Why? They couldn't answer that question. Why would Sui Ping try so hard? He could leave the Longjiang base city. Why would he stay and risk his life with people that could not leave? Mu Bahai clenched his fists. All the people of the Mu family, charge forth with me. With that said, Mu Bahai ran to the outside, using the hole in the wall. Lu Tianzong produced a bitter smile. I cannot believe a kid outdid me after having lived such a long life. Never mind, let me do this, for once in my life. With that said, he commanded the Lu family members to return to the battleground with him. Many people who had been escaping decided to rejoin the battle when they saw Mu Bahai and Lu Tianzong issue their orders. Sui Ping said to Mu Bahai and Lu Tianzong, I will take care of the Heavenly King. You two guard the hole. Do not allow the wild beasts to barge in. Mu Bahai promised, the Mu family swears to stay here. So does the Lu family. Lu Tianzong shouted. Sui Ping nodded. He looked to the outside where the Heavenly King was. It stood out in the crowd, being the huge beast king that it was. No wild beast dared to get close to the Heavenly King, which was an incredibly wicked being. That was the otherworld Heavenly King. Sui Ping could tell that it was even more overwhelming than the average beast kings. As he gazed at the Heavenly King, the two beast kings standing in front of it suddenly charged toward Sui Ping as if angered. One of them was of the demon family. It looked human-like, but it had 4 wings, it was holding a long, dark sword. The Beast King wore its hair down, underneath that hair was a rotten face. That pair of blood-red eyes were glued on Sui Ping as the Beast King carried its sword and pressed forward to attack him. The dragon's roar resounded in the area. The Inferno dragon tore apart the swirl with its paws and dashed out from the inside. It stood on the outer wall, scaring the many battle pet warriors close by, even Mu Bahai and Lu Tianzong. The Inferno dragon was able to feel Sui Ping's anger. The flames were soaring around the pet as it bellowed toward the battlefield. Kill them! Sui Ping said. He dashed out first. Bolts of lightning flashed around his feet. Many electricity ripples appeared in the air. Sui Ping had traversed more than 1,000 meters in the void and reached the 4-winged demon. Hiss! That 4-winged demon cracked its mouth open on its twisted face, the cuspid teeth in that mouth added to its ferocity. The beast suddenly wiggled and split into 5. All 5 had 4 wings, each holding a large, dark sword. In the meantime, the dark force from the 5 demons had swallowed the surrounding light. They also extinguished all kinds of senses. The auditory sense, the tactile sense, and so on. That was a legendary skill, Field of Darkness. Sui Ping was unable to see or hear in that field, but he never lost his bearings. If anything, he was even more determined. He had become used to darkness in all the battles he had gone through. Boom! Sui Ping punched toward the left. Like a curtain, the darkness was lifted. It seemed that the Golden Fist was able to defeat all that was evil in the world with that divine energy. That virtual fist smashed the chest of the 4-winged demon standing on the left. With a bang, that 4-winged demon's chest caved in. It uttered a miserable cry and fell into the crowd of wild beasts, creating a huge pit on the ground. The other 4-winged demons that were going to close in on Sui Ping disappeared. They were just virtual images. Even though those virtual clones looked quite authentic, they were dispersed when the actual demon was hurt. You shouldn't have released your killing intent. Sui Ping looked ferocious. He was very perceptive when it came to killing intent. His sense in that regard was better than his hearing or sight. Whoosh! Sui Ping went after that 4-winged demon. With a bang, the ground cracked. The 4-winged demon flew up, sword in hand. There seemed to be some flesh moving about in that caved-in chest, as if there were many worms. The wound on the chest healed quickly, the demon glared at Sui Ping, charging at him again. The demon launched several dark oblivion cannonballs. These projectiles traveled fast, the darkness had wiped out the air and the light along its trajectory. But Sui Ping didn't dodge to the side. He moved to charge head-on. Bang! 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 The dark oblivion cannonballs were powerful enough to wipe out beasts at the peak of the 9th rank. They landed on Sui Ping but only stirred up some ripples over him. That was an armor that the old Dragon King had given him. That article was able to fend off all the energy attacks from creatures below the void state. That was the reason why Sui Ping was not afraid of the Beast Kings. None of the beast kings were able to hurt him. He just had to focus on fighting. His combat strength had already surpassed the peak of the 9th rank. He had the Fist of Exorcist and was at the first level of the Solar Bulwark. Besides, his astral powers were profound, and he had divine energy in his body. He could easily kill a beast at the peak of the 9th rank and hurt a beast king. The four-winged demon was surprised that Suaping remained unharmed after the dark oblivion cannonballs landed on him. It did not expect to see such a treasure on a human being. Furious, the four-winged demon brandishing its sword. Several beams of sword light were overlapped and dashed toward Suaping. Still, Suaping pressed head on. Bang! 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 The beams of sword light exploded around him, and yet he was still unhurt. He went past the beams of sword light. Another golden hue burst out from Suaping's fist. His punch carried so much force that the air was rippling. Fist of Exorcist! Suaping shouted. He threw a punch at the demon. Scared, the demon attempted to parry with its sword. The punch landed on that large, dark sword. A noise was heard, like a bell ringing, which echoed throughout the battleground. The force of their collision made both Suaping and the four-winged demon bounce back. Bang! Suaping fell where the wild beasts gathered. Roar! Roar! The bloodthirsty wild beasts dashed toward Suaping one after the other. The howls and bellows were hurting Suaping's ears. His blood was boiling. He mobilized his astral powers and smashed the ground. Bang! The ground caved in, creating a pit several meters deep. Then Suaping jumped up. The wild beasts in front fell, while those behind took up their positions. As he stared at those wild beasts, the killing intent turned Suaping's eyes red. Force field! The dark force field appeared behind him. An ancient figure appeared in that force field. It was one that not even Suaping had seen before. The force field was a reflection of a warrior's mind. The more powerful the mind was, the more powerful the force field would be. At that moment, Suaping was projecting his mind completely onto the force field. That was an ancient, bleak world of corpses. Hooray! Suaping suddenly shouted. From his throat came out a roar that should belong to dragons from the distant past. He was losing his mind. That roar stunned the wild beasts into stillness. Some of the weaker beasts were so scared that they dropped to the ground. Shivering, Suaping waved his fist. The golden, virtual fist image flew toward the wild beasts. Countless wild beasts were immediately bumped away, some even died on the spot. Bang! 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 Suaping punched out quickly, and many virtual fists flew out one after another, clearing up an area around him. The two 9th rank beasts began to flee in fright. When Suaping stopped, the only thing left around him were dead wild beasts. An area with a radius of hundreds of meters around him was otherwise empty. Roar! From the distance, the four-winged demon dashed over again. Suaping raised his head. Boom! Flames surged over. The Inferno Dragon was there. It stomped on the ground and moved swiftly to smash into the four-winged demon. The demon hacked at the Inferno Dragon's head with its large, dark sword. However, the scales on the dragon's head bounced that sword away. A series of undead puppets covered in burning flames rose from that hell. Those puppets were energy bodies, condensed from the dead souls ingested from around the battlefield. The Inferno Dragon was using a demon skill, but there was something else, because all those puppets had been strengthened by the dragon's flames. Some of the undead puppets resembled skeletons, monsters, dragons, and beasts. At this moment, after struggling to crawl out of the sea of fire, all of them roared and ran towards the four-winged demon. The demon was surprised to witness how a mere Inferno Dragon had survived its attack, using demon skills to boot. After the initial stage of astonishment, the four-winged demon quickly reacted and immediately charged forth with a sword. Snatch! Strong dark energy gushed out. The four-winged demon was going to summon the undead puppets gathered by that Inferno Dragon, snatching them all to make them its servants. The Inferno Dragon was showing its paltry skill in front of an expert. Just as the four-winged demon's dark energy rushed to those undead puppets, a violent burning sensation was suddenly transmitted along with the demon's energy, and the dark energy around the demon suddenly shrank. Astonishment appeared in the demon's crimson eyes. The flames on the surface of those puppets were actually able to burn its energy. What kind of flames was that? The skill of the four-winged demon failed. In the meantime, the undead puppets carrying dragon flames had already rushed forward one after another. At the same time, the Inferno Dragon was also preparing another skill. Flames gathered and compressed around the dragon pet. There seemed to be a dragon rising from the flames. The demon felt angrier as it felt the dangerous aura. It swung its sword towards the dragon flame puppets who were approaching. PFF, PFF, PFF. Many dragon flame puppets were killed and extinguished, but at the same time, the flames on their bodies splashed onto the four-winged demon. The demon tried to put out the flames with its dark energy but failed. Suiping was on his way over to help. Suddenly, he felt something. He turned to the other side. The other Beast King next to Heavenly King was approaching. That Beast King belonged to the plant family, like a towering tree, but its lower body was covered with countless twisted vines that rolled around. Although the Beast King's speed was not too fast, its body was massive, creating a suffocating sense. Suiping had to let the Inferno Dragon deal with the four-winged demon on its own, while he took care of the plant Beast King. At the same time, he didn't forget to monitor the other world Heavenly King that was in the distance. The Heavenly King stood there quietly, without making any movements, but its whole body was like a flower. The petals were swaying gently as they emitted a foul smell. Roar! All of a sudden, Suiping heard a roar behind him. He turned pale. The tiger that he had smashed down at first had woken up. Suiping didn't kill it, he had merely knocked the tiger out. It found Suiping as soon as the tiger woke up. The wild beast king growled as it ran toward him. Suiping was in a gloomy mood but not in a panic, even while facing two beast kings. It would be difficult to feel afraid of getting hurt when using the treasure given to him by the old dragon king. The two beasts weren't at the void state and thus could not harm him. Come on! Suiping ignored the tiger that was approaching from behind and ran toward the plant beast king. He didn't summon another pet. Either the purple python or the void bug couldn't be of any help at the moment. The beast kings could kill them instantly. The purple python's combat strength was at the peak of the 9th rank, but that was still too weak when compared to a beast king. Any pet below the beast king level would not stand a chance. Of course, unless the pet was an expert in defense, like the dark dragon hound. That pet was able to fend off the strikes from beasts of a higher rank, but barely. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Many vines were extended toward Suiping. With a flash of lightning, Suiping split into 7. The advanced skill of the Thunder family. The difference from the other Thunder Shadow Image skill was that Suiping didn't split into 2, but 7. Thanks to the many rounds of Heaven's test that had refined his astral powers, plus his countless rounds of training, he had managed splitting into 7. He quickly dashed around among the vines. His eyes had turned purple, there were bolts of lightning dancing in his pupils. That was a 9th rank skill of the Thunder family, Eyes of Thunder. That was a skill that could slow an object down by 10 times. With the Eyes of Thunder, even a 9th rank beast would clearly see the movements of a beast king. However, in most cases, even when using that skill, a 9th rank beast would barely escape from a beast king, because the former could see it but not run from it. Thunder Sprint. All 7 Suipings were using the same skill, an enhanced version of the Thunder Sprint that could help them speed up to the extreme. Suiping dodged the plant beast king's strikes easily and approached it in an instant. The 7 Suipings swung their fists at once. With a divine glow on their fists. Boom! 7 fists of exorcist smashed at the different parts of the plant beast king. The vines broke and the bark was peeled. A dark green liquid began to seep out. That plant beast king cried out and seemed about to fall. Right then, Sua Ping sensed something. He stepped back at once. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless vines suddenly burst out from the ground, soaring into the sky and forming a net that caged Sua Ping inside. The wounds suffered by the plant beast king were healing quickly. Hiss! The plant beast king screamed in a shrill voice. The vines that surrounded Sua Ping began to grow out some sharp spikes. Even a mosquito could be killed in there. Boom! All the dark spears suddenly protruded, filling up the space inside the entire prison net. Bang! 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 The stings and spears suddenly broke. Sua Ping's body was covered with golden light, preventing him from being injured. That was threatening but not dangerous, but Sua Ping was still filled with dread. He was still too weak when compared to a beast king. Even though the plant beast king was not at the void state, it had to be one of the most powerful beast kings at the ocean state. I am at the 7th rank at the end of the day. If I were at the titled rank, I might be able to fight the beast king head-on. Sua Ping felt sorry for his weakness. Not even the fist of exorcist was enough to kill the beast king of the plant family, it was quite tenacious. Sua Ping felt tired, but that was not the time for him to give in to his frustration. If one punch wasn't enough, then 10 times, 100 times. Break! Sua Ping shouted. Astral powers burst out from him. He punched the net into pieces and broke free. He made another charge at the Beast King while standing on bolts of lightning. The Plant Beast King was stunned to see that he was able to break free from that skill. The Beast King growled. The ground suddenly began to give in. Sua Ping felt that a strong force was pulling him to the ground. Gravity field. That was a skill exclusive to Beast Kings of the plant family. It was clear that this one had managed to learn it. Sua Ping was able to tell that he would be slowed down, even with thunder sprint. It was as if he were carrying a mountain on his back. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The plant beast king's vines thrashed him. Bang! 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 Sua Ping was unable to dodge as the vines beat him. The golden light on the surface of his body fended off all those vines, but he was being smashed away. Roar! The tiger had reached Sua Ping. It opened its mouth and gripped him with its teeth. The dark flames inside that mouth were enough to exterminate Sua Ping. Roar! The Inferno Dragon happened to witness all that, and flew into a thundering rage. The flames soared to the sky. The dragon pet turned around and ran toward the tiger. Bzzz. A beam of light landed to its side. The four-winged demon had caught up with the Inferno Dragon. Bang! 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 As the Inferno Dragon received slashes several times, the golden glow on its scales began to fade away. Regardless of the wounds, the Inferno Dragon was still running toward the tiger. The tiger was a bit intimidated by the raging Inferno Dragon. The tiger wanted to step back but stopped upon remembering that it was also a beast king. The Inferno Dragon was rare, but still, it was just a dragon with a 9th rank bloodline. Compared to beast kings, 9th rank creatures were not worth mentioning. They were sorry little things. Why would I be scared of a thing that merely had a 9th rank bloodline? The tiger was angry for having been scared for a moment. It dashed toward the Inferno Dragon. While the tiger was approaching the Inferno Dragon, suddenly, it fell to the ground. There was some muffled sound inside him, it was abruptly blasted into several pieces. Whoosh! Sua Ping flew up, drenched in blood and flesh. Standing on the outer wall, Mu Bahai and Lu Tianzong had sunk into another round of despair. As Sua Ping broke free, all the people who were on the outer wall were standing with their mouths agape. No one could have expected to see a person coming back out alive from the jaws of a beast king. The tiger was very much dead this time. Sua Ping wiped off the flesh and blood on his face, the blood had turned the world red. He stared and ran towards the plant beast king. The Inferno Dragon slowed down when it saw Sua Ping coming out, clearly surprised. The four-winged demon took that chance and approached the dragon to land some hacks on its neck. The dragon fell to the ground but soon stood up again. Roar! The inferno dragon suddenly turned around and glared at the four-winged demon. The flames were dancing around the dragon as it punched the demon. On the outer wall. Charge! The fact that Suaping survived lifted Mubahai from hell and back to heaven. Overjoyed, he couldn't help but shout at the sky. Standing next to him, Lu Tianzong once again mobilized his astral powers and madly charged toward the wild beasts. Charge! The warriors' spirits were lifted. Their battle against the wild beasts had become even more intense. In the meantime, Suaping was having a hard time dealing with the plant beast king. The beast king was unable to hurt him, yet he couldn't kill it either, being simply too large. If Suaping were at the third level of the Fist of Exorcist, he might have a chance. But he was merely at the first level, not even at the entry of the second level yet. Die! Die! Suaping punched out like crazy. The more he punched, the more he was disappointed about himself. That is, in regards to his astral powers, physical strength and his fist. He had to be faster. He had to be stronger. Suaping no longer shouted, he directed that energy into his fist. Boom! He punched. A massive hole appeared on the plant's stem. Sap gushed out. Before Suaping could do it again, the Beast King's vines had covered up the wound, preventing him from following up. Suaping was unwilling to give up but he was exhausted. He took out a potion from his storage space. All the warriors had some potions like that one, and he asked for some as well, in case his astral powers were used up during battle. He had made the right choice. However, the potion that could fill up a titled battle pet warrior's astral powers only restored his astral powers halfway. He had to take another one. Once his astral powers were restored, his spirit had also recovered. Roar! Right then, he heard a roar that came from the Inferno Dragon. Suaping fearfully turned around. He saw that the Inferno Dragon had bitten off the head of the four-winged demon. The demon had also lost a wing. The Inferno Dragon won. Suaping was surprised to see that the Inferno Dragon was more outstanding than he had expected. The four-winged demon was weaker than the Plant Beast King, but it was at the ocean state. It was indeed more powerful than the Inferno Dragon, but the latter had slaughtered the former. Suaping saw that the Inferno Dragon was covered in wounds. Fortunately, the wounds were not serious. Unlike the Dark Dragon Hound, the Inferno Dragon was not a defense expert, but its scales had grown tough. The scales allowed his dragon to withstand most 9th rank skills. Suaping called the Inferno Dragon over. Teamwork would finish the Plant Beast King. The Inferno Dragon tore apart the corpse of the four-winged demon, stomped on it, and ran toward Suaping. The wild beasts made way for the dragon pet. The Inferno Dragon was horrifying to begin with, and it was drenched in demon's blood at the moment. It looked like a dragon that had emerged from hell. Suaping noticed something when the Inferno Dragon was running toward him. He moved Awa using a flash of lightning. Bang! A beam of dark red light penetrated the spot where he was standing. There was a bottomless pit there. Suaping was startled. He raised his head. It was the otherworld Heavenly King in the distance. At that moment, the petals around the Heavenly King were suddenly stretched out. An enormous eye was opened on the stamen found inside. That eye was several meters in diameter with a blood-red color. Completely void of emotions, that eye looked down on the battleground. Suaping was able to tell the eye was gazing at him. The otherworld Heavenly King had been inactive all this time. Was it going to take action then? Suaping looked at the bottomless pit on the ground. He turned around. The warriors, including Mubahai and Lu Tianzong, were fighting the wild beasts at close quarters. He saw wild beasts and battle pet warriors dying at every second. The Inferno Dragon was at the 7th rank, while its combat strength was at the ocean state. However, it would not stand a chance against a Heavenly King. On the other hand, he would be able to protect himself with the help of the Dragon King's treasures. Come on! Suaping made up his mind. Bolts of lightning flashed around him and he used the eyes of thunder to capture the Heavenly King's movement. He wanted to catch its attention first, and then provoke it, using himself as bait to lure it all the way to his store. That was the only way he would be able to finish the otherworld Heavenly King. Roar! The Inferno Dragon looked at Suaping as he dashed away. Eventually, the Inferno Dragon had to follow Suaping's orders due to the bond of the contract. The dragon pet began to run toward the Plant Beast King. Suaping could not get distracted to give more orders to the Inferno Dragon, he had to focus solely on the Heavenly King. Whoosh! Suddenly, the Heavenly King's blood-red eye changed color. Alerted, Suaping split into two and dashed to two different sides. Bang! A beam of dark-colored light penetrated Suaping, but the image was dispersed. That was the fake one. Suaping was stunned. That beam came too quickly. He was barely able to dodge in time, even with the solar bulwark and the eyes of thunder. Astral powers surged in Suaping's body. He extended his hands, and lightning flashed at his fingertips, instantly forming a thunder bow. An arrow made up by lighting was manifested. Suaping aimed at the vertical pupil of the Heavenly King and released the arrow. Boom! The arrow dashed out with a loud noise, reaching the Heavenly King. Before the arrow could reach the eye, a dark red barrier stopped the arrow, which then broke apart. The lightning flashed over the barrier and dispersed. Like he had anticipated, his strike was of little effect. After all, that was just a 9th rank skill. Suddenly, a glaring red light burst out from the Heavenly King's eye. Suaping was ghastly pale from fright. Run! He dashed around quickly, so quickly that he left after images. However, the dark-colored beam of light caught up with him. Bang! 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 The strike didn't make him feel pain, all thanks to the treasures he had. Still, the impact made him lose control of his body. He fell to the ground. Whoosh! Suaping flew up right after. The Heavenly King didn't attack. That huge eye turned to gaze at Suaping. Suaping didn't stop. He had to provoke it, make it hunt him down so that his plan would work. Thunder Prison. A column of lightning bolts appeared above the Heavenly King. That lightning column came crashing down, turning into many individual bolts of lightning. The hidden dark red barrier appeared again, the lightning column was rendered useless. Suaping wore a grave look. That Heavenly King was most likely at the fate state. If that was the case, he would be in fatal danger, even with the old Dragon King's treasures. Human, why do you have such a primitive and vast sense in you? All of a sudden, Suaping heard an indifferent, odd, and hoarse voice in his mind. Suaping was surprised. Was it the otherworld Heavenly King? At the moment, Suaping couldn't think of other beings that were able to speak directly to his mind. His spirit was strong, close to the 9th rank. Only beast kings would be able to penetrate his spirit and establish a telepathic conversation. Since communication was on the table, Suaping's hope was rekindled. Are you the otherworld Heavenly King? Why are you attacking us? Can you stop? I can give you something else as compensation. He knew he sounded quite childish. However, he preferred to be direct with beasts. In the Heavenly King's perspective, striking the Longjong base city was just a way to procure food. What was the difference between eating humans and eating wild beasts? Suaping could find other ways to satisfy the Heavenly King's appetite. Stop! You puny humans are just as laughable as usual. You begin to beg at the slightest trace of hope, that voice said, arrogantly. Suaping was ghastly pale from fright. That voice had just admitted being the otherworld Heavenly King. The Heavenly King had stopped attacking him. If you want food, I can take you somewhere else and you can eat up anything you want. I can feed you with piles of beast kings or anything else you want. Suaping continued, trust me, whichever choice that is, It'll be much easier and better than going on a killing spree here. Funny human being. The Heavenly King didn't answer him. Unhurriedly, it continued, I can tell that your astral powers are at the 7th rank, not even the 9th rank, but you can fight like a beast king. You must be the most interesting human being I have ever seen in the 2000 years that I've lived. Suaping was stunned. 2000 years? If a person wanted to live up to 2000 years, a breakthrough to the fate state was needed. But things were different for wild beasts. Some ocean state beast kings could live for a few thousand years while some wild beasts at the fate state could only live for a couple of 100 years. The otherworld Heavenly King had lived for 2000 years. Whichever state it was it had lived through a terrifyingly long period. You have many secrets in you. My original plan was to kill, but now I see that capturing you is more interesting than killing you. The Heavenly King adopted a soft tone. Its voice was even a little bit enticing. To his surprise, Suaping noticed that the Heavenly King's eye was contracting. That was a sign that it was going to release a skill. Suaping wasn't sure if he should be afraid or happy. He was partly afraid since his life was in danger, but happy because he had managed to get the Heavenly King's attention. The next step was to run. As fast as he could. Whoosh! Without further ado, Suaping turned around and ran. Since the Heavenly King wanted to capture him alive, he would run, luring it to chase him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. When Suaping had just started moving, all of a sudden, bright red vines full of thorns suddenly shot out from the ground. The extremely thick and seemingly ever-growing vines reached toward him. Run! Suaping bellowed. He used up all of his strength as he dashed toward the outer wall. He wished he had more than 2 legs. The next second, all the space around Suaping suddenly became tight and heavy. Suaping felt as if he had suddenly been stuck in a thick wall, and his speed immediately slowed down. Space confinement. It wasn't like the gravity field that the plant beast king had created. This confinement involved solidifying space all around him. He had visited the demigod burial several times and had been able to communicate with the celestial gods quite often. He had become familiar with the skills that the 3 states of the legendary rank carried. The legendary creatures at the ocean state were able to use astral powers to slaughter a 9th rank creature directly. The ones at the void state were able to teleport through space. At the fate state, with enough astral powers and a more profound understanding of space, confining spaces was possible. The space confinement was a skill unique to creatures at and above the fate state. Of course, some outstanding legendary rank creatures at the void state could also use space confinement, just like how some ocean state legendary rank creatures could also teleport. Geniuses always sought to break the mold. But at the same time, geniuses like those could be hardly seen. Is this Heavenly King just a creature at the void state with an incredible intelligence, or is it at the fate state? Suaping was having a hard time finding the answer. He soon realized that the confinement area was large. The celestial gods in the demigod burial were all at the fate state. Still, they could only confine an area with a radius of 100 meters with themselves as the center. However, at the moment, Suaping was at least a few thousand meters away from the otherworld Heavenly King. He understood that the more powerful a being was, the larger the confined space would be. But that was downright outrageous. Whoosh! In the meantime, some blood-red vines emerged from the ground and approached Suaping. He struggled to get away, but he was being tightly contained. He exerted full strength, and even then, it seemed as if he were just jogging casually. On the contrary, the vines were moving at the speed of lightning. His attempt at getting away never stood a chance. The loud bang indicated that he had been struck. The old Dragon King's gift helped him reduce the impact. Still, he was pinned to the ground. In the meantime, many vines that were as thick as a person's wrist crawled over to Suaping and tied him up. A golden hue appeared over Suaping that protected him from getting hurt because of the vines. Yet, being merely an armor, it couldn't help him get out of the entanglement. These vines! Suaping suddenly understood why the otherworld Heavenly King was able to affect the space around him when he was so far away. It turned out that it had paved the underground with its vines. Those vines were an extension of the Heavenly King. Space confinement was usually only able to affect an area with a radius of 100 meters or even smaller, but the Heavenly King was able to use its huge body and limbs to extend the area of influence. Suaping had been flying in the air and he was a few hundred meters above the ground. The space confinement he had experienced was not at full force. Otherwise he would have been immobilized to a point that he would have been unable to blink. Due to the far distance, he was under the influence of space confinement with a reduced effect, but it was more than enough to stop and capture him. Break. Even though he had gained a complete understanding of the situation, his mind was still weighed down. He punched out and broke the vines around him. The red liquid that gushed out from the vines was like blood, and it also smelled like blood. As the vines were broken, new ones grew out. Come on! Furiously, Suaping used his fist. He couldn't allow himself to be captured by the Heavenly King. The old Dragon King's presence was able to fend off the vine strikes, not impeding his ability to attack. Therefore, he was able to cut off many vines. Like Suaping had assumed, the vines were just an extension of the otherworld Heavenly King, as such, they weren't as sturdy. The fist of Exorcist would allow him to break them. You are courting death. The Heavenly King of Otherworld's voice had hardly died down when Suaping shouted out in his mind, "Go away!" He had secretly used a roar emulating the old Dragon King. The roar was resounding and primitive. It had directly driven out the Heavenly King's voice from Suaping's mind. In the distance, a beam of red light was suddenly shot from the eye of the Heavenly King. The indifference in its eyes had turned into coldness. Whoosh! Two thick limbs emerged from the petals. They also looked like two red vines at first glance, but the difference was that their surface was ridden with sharp bone blades. At the tip, there were cross-like gaps. The gaps stretched slightly to reveal the tusks inside. The two blood-red limbs moved through the battlefield and approached Suaping, who was being pushed to the ground in the distance. Suaping had just broken some vines. He immediately wanted to roll to the side upon seeing those two limbs. However, the vines seemed to be endless, new ones would grow out, no matter how fast he broke them. Get away! Suaping shouted. He poured all of his astral powers into those two fists as he used the fist of Exorcist many times. The divine energy he had absorbed when he was in the demigod burial was gushing out to his hands wildly. Bang! 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 Many pieces of vines were broken. Suaping turned around and tried to run for his life. However, the space around him was still thick and tight, even more so than before. Even though it wasn't the actual space confinement in full strength, Suaping couldn't find any solution. Space confinement could only be countered with a more powerful space confinement. Sadly, he knew nothing about it. He tried to run, but his legs were weak and leaden, he could hardly lift them, as they were still under the entanglement of several vines. More and more red vines were rushing at him. The whooshing noise approaching him was getting louder and louder. The two thick limbs were about to reach him, like two destructive arrows which had been released from a distance. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Suaping was in a desperate situation. He finally saw how weak he was, how vulnerable he was. Suddenly, a man shouted and approached him. "Mr. Su, let me help you." Suaping looked around. It was a middle-aged titled battle pet warrior with rough facial features. The man mobilized his astral powers as he shouted at Suaping. Together with an unusual pet of the element family, the middle-aged titled battle pet warrior dashed toward the two red limbs. That battle pet generated a massive wind blade that held condensed wind power. The blade hacked at the two red limbs. With a bang, the wind blade was wielded, leaving behind a black mark in the turbulent air. However, in the next second, the two red limbs wiggled as they advanced. More bone blades grew out on the limbs that cut off the wind blade. Some bone blades flew directly out from the limbs and cut off the battle pet's head. Another bone blade flew past the middle-aged titled battle pet warrior, also beheading him. The middle-aged titled battle pet warrior who had hurried over to help had just died. Suaping could hardly bring himself to believe that. The two red limbs went straight for Suaping after the middle-aged titled battle pet warrior died. You will have to deal with me as well. Mr. Su, we're here to help you. More people shouted. Several titled battle pet warriors rushed to where Suaping was being detained, riding on their respective battle pets, which were all at the 9th rank. They hurled themselves toward the two red limbs with abandon. They used many 9th rank skills, and all sorts of energies entangled the two red limbs. In the meantime, several missiles were launched that way and exploded close to the two red limbs. With a loud bang, the fire covered up the red limbs. Suaping could not help but dart a look at the outer wall. There were fewer beasts there. The warriors had been able to stop more wild beasts from entering the city through the hole in the wall. Mr. Su, let me help you. Suaping saw it was Mubahai who was dashing toward him. He was riding on a 9th rank flaming dark phoenix. Mubahai's hair was disheveled and his armor tainted with blood from the wild beasts. Mubahai had not sustained any serious wounds. The flaming dark phoenix cried and then breathed out a large mass of fire. Fire had always been seen as a mortal enemy for plants. However, the vines on the ground were still intact after the terrifying flame swept across the land. Mubahai could not believe that. The fire breathed out by the flaming dark phoenix was its core ability, something that beasts of the same rank would be terrified of. However, the fire was unable to leave any mark on the red vines. He saw how Suaping had been punching at the red vines. Mubahai had just thought that there were simply too many of them. The strangeness of the red vines had turned out to be unexpected. Suaping shouted to Mubahai who was getting closer. Don't come over. But the warning came too late. The flaming dark phoenix began to fall after a tremor. Luckily, the fast-reacting beast pet was able to stabilize itself. It began to flap its wings harder but it was still slowed down. As he sat on the back of his winged pet, Mubahai was taken aback since he felt how the air around him was pressing against him, making breathing difficult for him. What is this? Mubahai asked himself in terror. He darted another look at Suaping who was still unable to break free. Finally, Mubahai understood why Suaping was unable to get out. The sheer number was not the point. A single red vine was able to kill a 9th rank beast. That was the horror of the otherworld Heavenly King. The first idea that kicked in was to escape, but it was soon discarded. Mubahai made up his mind. Mr. Su, I'm going to pull out. He rode on the flaming dark phoenix that dived down. He poured all of his astral powers to the flaming dark phoenix to increase its speed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Feeling that Mubahai was in trouble, some red vines suddenly turned around and reached toward him. Cry! The flaming dark phoenix suddenly began to cry sharply and danced around in the air, catching the attention of many red vines. Suaping was able to see that Mubahai was trying to create a diversion for him. To think that the always smart and interest-oriented Mu family head would put himself at risk for his sake. Suddenly, Suaping heard some cries of pain. What he saw brought him to tears. The two titled battle pet warriors that had just approached to help him had passed away, including their battle. The two thick limbs were unhurt, even after all those strikes and missiles. The limbs just turned around and began to hunt down battle pet warriors. Mr. Su, we're going to distract them. Whoosh! Someone flew past Suaping. The titled battle pet warrior hurried over from the outer wall and flew directly toward the red limbs. Suaping could not help but yell, "You're not going to beat it. Do not go. Mr. Su, don't worry. Just try your best to get out. You're the only one who can deal with the otherworld Heavenly King," Mubahai anxiously shouted to Suaping. The flaming dark phoenix was about to be caught by the red vines. He was in a dire situation. Suaping opened his mouth. He felt a lump in his throat. He could not do it. He couldn't bear to carry so many people's hopes. Ah! Sui Ping bellowed. He punched out like crazy. The red vines quickly broke, one after another. Mu Bahai was stunned to see Sui Ping be able to quickly cut off that many red vines. He felt there was still hope. Sui Ping was more powerful than he had anticipated. As Mu Bahai still felt pleasantly surprised, he suddenly shivered. The flaming dark phoenix cried in sorrow. Its feet had just been wrapped by the red vines. The phoenix immediately breathed out fire to burn the vines, but they seemed to be immune to fire. More and more red vines reached the flaming dark phoenix and it also lost control of its wings. No matter how it struggled, the avian pet still began to fall. Mu Bahai was ghastly pale. He drew his sword to cut the vines. He loved his sword dearly, but it couldn't inflict any damage to the red vines, as if the blade were dull. No, please no. Mu Bahai was overwhelmed by terror. He was unwilling to let go of his battle pet. Abruptly, the flaming dark phoenix let out a cry he had never heard before. The fire around the flaming dark phoenix was stronger than ever. In the meantime, Mu Bahai's astral powers grew. Mu Bahai was in a daze. He could feel astral powers pouring into him continuously. Astral powers were being transferred to him through the contract bond, via energy synchronization. Astral powers from the flaming dark phoenix. The richness of such astral powers was more than he could have ever imagined. His astral powers were fully supplied, even an excess was being exuded. All of a sudden, Mu Bahai picked up a certain clue. A clue to become a legendary battle pet warrior. The calling from heaven and earth seemed to be extremely easy to obtain. However, the next second, a sad call woke him up. Mu Bahai looked down, only to see an unusual fire burning on the flaming dark phoenix, the fire of underworld, the strongest skill of a flaming dark phoenix that could only be used once in its life. Once the skill was used, the flaming dark phoenix would irreversibly head to its death. While the skill was in effect, the fire would burn anything and everything, including the body, the spirit, and the soul of the flaming dark phoenix. The surge of rich astral powers felt by Mu Bahai came from the flaming dark phoenix burning itself to death. It fed its astral powers to Mu Bahai without his consent. After spending so many years and battling together, Mu Bahai immediately understood the flaming dark phoenix's intention. It burned itself and passed the energy to Mu Bahai just so that he could get away. His eyes reddened. Stop it! Stop! Mu Bahai cried into the air, and his cry lingered in the air. However, the underworld fire couldn't be stopped. Nothing could stop it once the fire broke out. The bond between Mu Bahai and the flaming dark phoenix suddenly broke. The contract that brought the two together was no more. Mu Bahai was unable to feel the flaming dark phoenix's emotions and thoughts in his mind. Something was amiss. Below him, the flaming dark phoenix looked up. The confusion in its eyes flashed away in an instant. Its eyes cleared up, casting one final glance at Mu Bahai, a tender glance at its old. The next second, the flaming dark phoenix flapped its wings. Even tangled by the red vines, the flaming dark phoenix tried to soar to the sky with pride. A force lifted Mu Bahai and sent him to the high sky. The effort made the flaming dark phoenix fall where a cluster of wiggling red vines instantly swallowed it. No! Mu Bahai shouted with sadness. With a loud noise, the flaming dark phoenix exploded and turned into a dark fire that swept all over and burned off all the red vines. The underworld fire was powerful enough to hurt a beast king. The red vines twisted as they burned, soon being reduced to dust. Sui Ping, who was still battling the red vines, heard Mu Bahai's pained cry. He saw the burning flaming dark phoenix. Sui Ping clenched his teeth. He punched with even more force. Soon, all the red vines around him broke. Other red vines grew out, but Mu Bahai had distracted some of them. Before the other red vines could reach Sui Ping, he crouched down and then jumped up forcefully. As he freed himself from the pit he was in, the effect of space confinement was quickly reduced. When he was at about 400 meters off the ground, the effect was so minimal that it could be ignored altogether. Suiping didn't stop there. He flew up for another 200 meters in case the otherworld Heavenly King had faked the range of its space confinement ability. Please stop, not far away, Mubahai was still begging and crying. He knelt in the air with astral powers supporting him. He had a face of despair and pain. On the ground, the dark flames were still burning. Each sparkle was fueled by the flaming dark phoenix's body and soul. When the fire died out, nothing of the flaming dark phoenix would remain. Mubahai could not pull himself together because of his pain, which stunned Suiping. He could not have imagined that he would ever see such an expression on the man in charge of the Mu family, a man who was always quite composed. Suiping felt his blood was burning with anger as he gazed at the Heavenly King in the distance. Right then, more people cried out in pain. Suiping quickly turned around. He would never forget that. There was a mass of blood mist in the distance. The titled battle pet warriors who had hurried over to help him, as well as their battle pets, were whipped into a mist of blood by the two thick limbs of the Heavenly King. They did not stand a chance. The two limbs could confine space with greater strength than the red vines on the ground. The titled battle pet warriors were frozen in the air, depriving them of any chances to get away. Seeing the titled battle pet warriors be slaughtered one after another, Suiping clenched his fists and bit his teeth so hard that they almost cracked. He was dying to go over and help them out, but he was fully aware that doing so would mean he would be once again grabbed by the Heavenly King. Once that happened, he would no longer be able to lure the Heavenly King to his store's domain. Mr. Su, don't go there. That was Mubahai. The death of so many titled battle pet warriors made him realize that he had to take his mind off his deceased pet. He suppressed his feelings of sorrow, but not his determination. You're the last hope there is for the Longjiang base city. Mr. Su, do you have any plans? Every one of the Mu family members is here at your service. We will go to any lengths, even at the cost of our lives. Suiping gazed at Mubahai with complex emotions. He had so many words to say but was unable to speak. He had no plan. If he were at the titled rank, he might have been able to deal with the problem, and drive away the Heavenly King without paying a heavy cost. But the fact remained that his rank was low. He had two options. First, to lure the Heavenly King to the store and let the system kill it. Second, he could make himself perish together with the Heavenly King. He could do this. He really could. He just had to give up a life, his life. He could undo all of the Dark Dragon Hound's seals. All 9 of them. That way, the Dark Dragon Hound would be able to reach the peak of the Fate state, infinitely close to the star rank. However, that would mean that his mind would be burst open. Before that happened, he could command the Dark Dragon Hound to go and kill the otherworld Heavenly King. Yet, upon his death, his contract with the Dark Dragon Hound would be rendered void. He wasn't sure if the Dark Dragon Hound would turn around and strike the Longjiang base city. Without the contract, the Dark Dragon Hound would also become a wild beast. Also, the hound would not have any recollection of its time with Suiping. By then, with one less otherworld Heavenly King on the blue planet, there would be an addition of a horrifying beast that was the Dark Dragon Hound, a being which no one would be able to control. I have to lure the Heavenly King into the city. Suiping yelled. Mubahai was speechless, not believing that was the plan. He remembered something Suiping said. That location you mentioned. Is it inside the base city? Suiping looked at him. He didn't know that Mubahai still remembered that. Indeed. It appalled Mubahai, to think the place Suiping mentioned had the ability to kill a beast like the otherworld Heavenly King was inside the Longjiang base city. He trusted that Suiping would not lie to him at that point. Whoosh! Whoosh! Right then, they heard something approaching. The air had become sticky again. Suiping saw that it was the two thick limbs again. All the titled battle pet warriors who went to distract the limbs had perished. The two thick limbs no longer impeded their way as they tried to trap him. Run! Suo Ping shouted to Mu Bahai. He was furious, but he turned around and ran away. He was angry since he had been unable to defeat the Heavenly King in a face-to-face battle, but he would have to swallow that pain. Mu Bahai flew to the sky at once. The thick limbs paid no attention to Mu Bahai. The ever-extending limbs quickly reached toward Suo Ping. Noticing that the air was getting heavier and heavier, Suo Ping knew that the limbs would catch up with him soon enough. He didn't have enough time to get away. Whoosh! Suo Ping hurled a black ring toward his back. It was an advanced beast-catching ring. That was part of his solution, but not an actual plan. The advanced beast-catching ring could catch a beast king, but the odds were merely 10%. It could definitely catch anything that was not a beast king, even at the peak of the 9th rank. Suo Ping had noticed that the 10% odds would change according to the state and strength of the beast king. If the beast king was weak, barely lingering onto its life, the odds would increase to more than 10%. On the other hand, if the beast king was in a normal state, then the odds would be 10% or even lower. Will it work? A kindle of hope rose as he hurled out the ring, but of course, he didn't pin all of his hope on the beast-catching ring. The ring broke and collapsed into a swirl that was about to absorb the Heavenly King. However, the swirl disappeared as soon as it opened. The construction was not stable enough. That kindle of hope died down. The odds were too low. He had 6 more beast-catching rings left. But that didn't mean he had a 70% chance of succeeding. If he were unlucky enough, he could use 100 beast-catching rings and not succeed. In the distance, the otherworld Heavenly King's eye was contracted. The coldness in its eye turned into astonishment. It was the first time it had truly shown any emotion. Even though it was faint, the Heavenly King did smell a hint of death. It felt that it was something it could not fend off, but that feeling disappeared in an instant. Still, that heart skip reminded the Heavenly King that it was not an illusion. The grand beast locked its gaze on Suo Ping. Indeed, that human being carried big secrets. Maybe, the Heavenly King thought, if I could get those secret weapons, I would have the chance to best the other Heavenly Kings. Using its 2 heads to ponder about that guy, the Heavenly King of Otherworld would grind its teeth if it could. After the first beast-catching ring failed, Suo Ping threw out 2 more without hesitation. Bang, bang, bang! The 2 advanced beast-catching rings generated swirls in the air. The first disappeared the moment it came out and the second one collapsed when it was about to take form. All 3 had failed. Suo Ping made up his mind and used up the remaining 4. 4 rings cracked as they struck the 2 thick limbs. 4 swirls came out and yet, no trace of hope was left for Suo Ping. 2 of the swirls vanished the moment the edge appeared and the other would disperse in the process. None of the 7 beast-catching rings worked. Even though Suo Ping didn't expect to succeed in the first place, the fact that good luck didn't favor him in that critical moment still bothered him deeply. He was just a random guy that the system had picked up. He wasn't a blessed guy. Run! He had to follow his original plan. That was not the time for him to put all eggs in one basket. While the 7 beast-catching rings didn't work, they did manage to help Suo Ping. The 2 thick limbs were quite scared of the swirls and they had to dodge to the sides. As a result, Suo Ping managed to buy some distance. Will they catch up with me? Suo Ping turned his head around to look at the otherworld Heavenly King, only to see that the latter was still rooted on the battlefield, with no intention of moving. He became frustrated. Were his strikes not tempting enough? Suddenly, he heard a cold voice. Are you waiting for me? Suo Ping stopped in his tracks and turned back. Chapter 510 Protect Master End. Never fall. Her face was exquisite and beautiful, with a blood-red flower on her forehead and black hair like a silken waterfall cascading down her shoulders, dancing around in the air. Lowly human, you seem to be plotting something. The blood-robed woman looked down at Suo Ping with a cold expression, but she spoke with a man's voice, which was awfully strange. Are you the otherworld Heavenly King? Suo Ping's heart was racing. He had forgotten something. Apart from space confinement, a creature at the Fate realm was able to manipulate space in many other ways, such as space folding. The creature could hide inside pockets of space. Anything or anyone below the same rank or state would hardly notice that, unless one had an extremely fine perception. That is a name you puny humans decided to give me, but I do not hate it, the Heavenly King commented. What are the iron rings you tossed at me? It could pick up a sense of danger from those rings, and was also able to tell that the human being had no more of such things. Sua Ping's heart was trembling, he was panting as this thing had admitted its identity. His reaction did not stem from fear, but anger. Two otherworld heavenly kings? Obviously not. He had been fooled by some sort of skill. That massive body on the battlefield was probably just a disguise or a dummy. But Sua Ping could feel more horrors coming off from the blood-robed creature. That should be the actual Heavenly King. He was angry because he had never imagined that the Heavenly King could be so scheming. A king among beast kings went there to attack the Longjiang base city, taking along a dozen beast kings with it, and still had the nerve to hide. The actual Heavenly King must have been hiding above the battlefield using space folding. Why? Sua Ping stopped running. He could not run. He could tell that space was wobbling around him. He could be frozen on the spot at any given second. That was the true force of space confinement. If the otherworld Heavenly King intended to eliminate him, he would have already been confined. He wouldn't have been able to bat his eyes. Sua Ping stared at the Heavenly King. Why did you decide to strike the Longjiang base city? I don't think this is a hunt for food. Is there something here that is of interest to you? Or, are you afraid of an ambush from the tower? The Heavenly King's actions were odd enough. He remembered the first beast strike he had helped to defeat after he hurried over from the Supremacy League. Some dots were connected in his mind. The otherworld Heavenly King was smart and crafty. It had lived for a long time and had struck many base cities. It would surely know the situation of a human base city. There had to be something else that enticed the Heavenly King into going to such lengths to target the Longjiang base city. His previous communication with the Heavenly King was short, it had turned a deaf ear to all the terms he had offered. Any other beast king would have first questioned why he had said those words. That was to say, the Heavenly King was determined to strike the Longjiang base city and there was nothing that could distract it. Food. As if hearing a joke, the Heavenly King sneered, but that lasted no longer than a second. It was too proud to show its emotions to a creature like Sua Ping. I have asked you a question, you just have to answer it. Before I resort to any of my means, I suggest you behave. Or else, I will make sure that you will grieve to the extent of wishing to die. Sua Ping pulled a long face. They are beast-catching rings, Sua Ping answered eventually. He wished he could cut the Heavenly King into pieces but he couldn't. He would rather compromise if that was what it would take to keep the Longjiang base city safe. He would try his best as long as negotiation was on the table. Even if that meant he had to give up his dignity. That was nothing compared to tens of millions of lives. What do I have to do for you to give up on striking this place? Sua Ping asked. Beast-catching rings. The Heavenly King of Otherworld sneered. I see that you won't tell me the truth unless I try the hard way. Also, who taught you all of those things? I know the titled battle pet warriors but I don't think any of them is capable enough to raise a student like you. I am telling the truth. I can tell you anything as long as you can leave the base city alone, Sua Ping answered, sincerely. Is that so? Then drop to your knees, the Heavenly King of Otherworld said, clearly amused. Sua Ping's face became clouded. On his knees? He had never knelt to anyone, except for his parents. What? Can you not decide? The Heavenly King said with contempt. It gently lifted its finger, and dark red energy was gathered on its fingertips. The next moment, the energy formed a round ball that suddenly burst into motion. Bang! The energy ball grew in size as it dashed away, it smashed into the outer wall that was less than 1,000 meters away. With a loud noise, that piece of the outer wall was broken through. After the dust settled, Sua Ping saw a huge hole on the outer wall. The warriors who had been standing on the outer wall were all strangled to death by the chaotic space force. With one lift of its finger, the Heavenly King had crippled the outer wall, one that had been made with special materials. The titled battle pet warriors and other people scattered around the battlefield were alerted. They noticed what was happening with Sua Ping. "Who is that strange woman?" Sua Ping turned pale. He had experienced the strikes from many celestial gods, but that was at the demigod burial. The materials from their constructions were far steadier. Therefore, he had never gained a clear idea of the destructive force dealt by the strike of a fate state creature. Right then, he was able to tell that the force could bring down the world. "Stop it!" Sua Ping shouted at once. "I will do it." The Heavenly King lowered its hand. "Tell me the name of your teacher and the story of the iron rings. Will you leave this place?" "Probably." The Heavenly King's nonchalant attitude made Sua Ping clench his fist. This being was secure in the knowledge of having a strong backing. Sua Ping would be the only one making compromises in this negotiation. Even so, even knowing that the Heavenly King was just playing with him, he had to agree to its terms. "I have other iron rings like those, but I don't have them with me. My teacher has already passed away," Sua Ping answered, while looking into the Heavenly King's eyes. He told himself that he would be able to lure it into his store if it wanted the beast-catching rings. "Is that so? Have someone fetch them for me," the Heavenly King of Otherworld answered. "I'm the only one who can get you the rings. You must know that I couldn't have stashed such items in a place where anyone has access to." The Heavenly King nodded. "You're not wrong. Such being the case, I will let you cling on to your petty life for a bit longer. I will come back and dig out all the secrets inside you after I've solved the problems here. I have all the time in the world." Sua Ping was about to say something when space closed upon him. Space confinement. Buzzing. A golden hue appeared over Sua Ping. That was the old Dragon King's gift to him. However, that golden hue collapsed. It didn't work. The armor could only protect Sua Ping against strikes below the void state. It was just as fragile as a piece of paper when the strike came from a creature of the fate state. After that armor cracked, another one appeared. Sua Ping had 3 protective artifacts. Still, the second one didn't last long. Sua Ping was furious. He wanted to talk to the Heavenly King again, but he didn't have time. Should he run or stay? He still had one more artifact. Although it wasn't a protective barrier, it could teleport him to any place he wanted. It was an artifact that the old Dragon King had given him as a safety measure. However, if he were to be sent away from the Longjiang base city, there would be no more Longjiang base city by the time he got back. He was struggling inside. All of a sudden, Sua Ping heard an angry call that echoed on the battlefield. He was familiar with that call. It was the Inferno Dragon. Boom! The air was burning. A figure approached with a fast speed to the place where Sua Ping was, just like a cannon shell. The Inferno Dragon had arrived. Sua Ping was confused about this. He didn't tell the Inferno Dragon to help him. The Inferno Dragon would not stand a chance to fight back against the Heavenly King. Roar! The Inferno Dragon stepped on fire as it rushed over. It locked its eyes on the Heavenly King. The Inferno Dragon was able to feel every piece of emotion Sua Ping was feeling, be it pain or anger, through their bond. Behind the Inferno Dragon, the Plant Beast King had already died, with its body torn to pieces. Even while being weaker than the Plant Beast King, the Inferno Dragon had managed to kill it. Fire was a plant's mortal enemy, and at the same time, the Inferno Dragon had put up a hell of a fight. What? The Otherworld Heavenly King had noticed the dragon before. It was a weak beast. But like the human present, the dragon was amazing, or even strange given its strength. A strange human and a strange pet. How interesting! Good potential but such a humble bloodline. The Heavenly King darted a look at the dead plant beast king, but it did not seem disturbed by its demise. The Heavenly King had yet to do a thing, but the Inferno Dragon already felt as if it had bumped into a wall. Halfway through, the Inferno Dragon flapped its wings and took to the skies. Suaping could tell how determined the Inferno Dragon was. He commanded his dragon pet at once, "Do not come here. Go away. Roar." The reply he received was the Inferno Dragon's roar of determination. The dragon was not giving up. The dark red flames around the Inferno Dragon gradually turned golden, which was a sign of divine energy as it coursed around it. Suaping was surprised. The Inferno Dragon would rarely disobey him, except for when he would train it with several deaths in the cultivation site at the very beginning. After that initial stage, the Inferno Dragon would do whatever he told it to do. The Inferno Dragon surely knew that resistance would not get it anywhere. But this day, the Inferno Dragon was disobeying him again. This time, it wasn't because the Inferno Dragon was afraid of death. The Inferno Dragon was there to save him. "No. I can protect myself. Go." While confined in space, Suaping could not even call the Inferno Dragon back to his contract space. "Go!" Suaping shouted. This time, he ordered the Inferno Dragon with the power of their contract, and that meant the Inferno Dragon would not be able to disobey him. The Inferno Dragon trembled as if struck by something. However, the next second, it roared madly and continued to rush over. Suaping looked ghastly. He never expected that the Inferno Dragon would disobey an order from the contract. A pet had to follow an order from the contract. Disobeying an order from a contract would mean that the pet would have to suffer. The Moonfrost Dragon had disobeyed Solingyu as a way to protect her. During the Elite League, the Moonfrost Dragon had almost died. Luckily, Solingyu cancelled her order, treatment was provided in time, and the Moonfrost Dragon survived. "I take it back. I take it back." Suaping hurried to cancel his instructions as the Inferno Dragon continued to run to him. However, flames were burning around the Inferno Dragon. The flames were there to hurt the dragon for violating the contract. At that moment, he suddenly understood how Solingyu must have felt on that stage during the Elite League. How she must have felt when she placed her pet in harm's way herself. Desperation. Puny dragon. So stupid, the Heavenly King said with contempt. Suaping suddenly stared into the Heavenly King's eyes. "I will not allow you to insult my pet." The violence and killing intent in Suaping's reddened eyes stunned the Heavenly King. It had never seen a human being so murderous. Was he even a human being? He was more like a fiend. Pomoy, an extremely violent and wicked one. The otherworld Heavenly King was pissed, since it even felt fear, albeit just for a second. Boom! The space confinement grew in strength. Everything that Suaping had that could have protected him was rendered useless. He was still glaring at the Heavenly King. "This is the end for you as well," the Heavenly King of Otherworld said coldly. The Inferno Dragon was the third rarest dragon, but it didn't have a Beast King's bloodline. According to the Heavenly King's eyes, the Inferno Dragon was just as weak as a rat. Bang! Space strangulation. The Inferno Dragon was brought to a sudden stop, blood gushed out as if something was squeezing the blood out of it. The Inferno Dragon's wings and bones were deformed. The Heavenly King stopped and the Inferno Dragon fell from the sky. That strike was enough to kill a Beast King. Suaping was unable to do anything while confined in that space. The confinement froze his body, not his mind and feelings. As he watched the Inferno Dragon fall, Suaping felt something was burning his blood and making him lose his mind. Suddenly, the Inferno Dragon slowed down in its fall. It flapped its twisted wings. The Inferno Dragon stabilized itself in the air, even though it was covered in blood. After catching a breath, the Inferno Dragon let out a soul-shattering roar. As the dragon roared, nothing in heaven or earth could make a sound. Both people and beasts, they could not help but tremble at the sight of that dragon, bathed in blood, with a twisted shape. How could the dragon roar that way when it had been hurt that badly? What a sad and shocking scene! What? The Heavenly King was surprised to see that the strike had failed to kill the dragon. How? Even a beast king at the ocean state should have dropped dead, very much dead. The Heavenly King frowned. Never mind. If one strike didn't do the trick, we can try again. Roar! The Inferno Dragon once again soared to the sky. Halfway through, the Inferno Dragon became stiff, as it was being pressed by the air. More blood gushed out from the Inferno Dragon. Its wings balled up, it seemed that all of its blood had been squeezed out. Even so, the Inferno Dragon did not fall. As a matter of fact, while surrounded by more powerful dragon fire, the Inferno Dragon slowly, but steadily, flew to where Suaping was. The dragon reached Suaping. Its eyes were bloodshot. The Inferno Dragon cast one glance at Suaping and then stepped in front of him in a defensive position. The Inferno Dragon was trying to protect Suaping. Suaping was reduced to tears. No, this is not going to work. Why wouldn't you listen? The Heavenly King could not believe that even the second try was not enough to kill the dragon, which was beyond logic. This is no longer funny. The Heavenly King frowned. Dark energy was gathered around its fingertips. A beam of light was shot out. Bang! The beam of light traveled so quickly that even though the Inferno Dragon had built up many shields and lifted its front limbs, it still went through and pierced the dragon's heart. The Inferno Dragon was on the verge of collapse but managed to remain standing. Golden flames burst out from the dragon pet and a virtual dragon image appeared behind it. Once again, the Inferno Dragon stood in a defensive position and roared at the Heavenly King defiantly. It was protecting its master. Suaping gazed at the Inferno Dragon. In his mind, he was able to tell that the contract between him and the Inferno Dragon had become so faint that it was about to disappear. It was a sign that the Inferno Dragon was going to die. Suaping hurried to send a message through the contract. Why? Why are you doing this? The Inferno Dragon found the strength to turn its head around. Its neck was making a cracking sound. Slowly and struggling, the Inferno Dragon answered Suaping's question. I shall never fall, and I shall leave back to my master. You taught me that. The Inferno Dragon had just learned to talk and it had not become familiar with the skill yet. Suaping felt his mind buzzing. He remembered that a long time before, he had randomly mentioned this to the Inferno Dragon. He didn't know it would still remember. But this is not the time for that. You'll die. I do not deserve this. As the Inferno Dragon uttered those words, the Heavenly King was also surprised. So intelligent. No wonder you're out of the ordinary while you have such a petty bloodline. Nevertheless, I will not spare your life. The Otherworld Heavenly King made a gripping gesture in the air. Bang! The Inferno Dragon was burst into pieces.